closed-minded folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like we got a demo tape and don't nobody want to hear it, but it's like this the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
This that shit to make them all go dummy. Now I got bread, they all want something from me. Showing like pros, man, I told them that it's money, and I own my own bars just like it's always sunny. Thought she said something to me. We were never friends, told them I am not your buddy. Now they all call, I got some buzz like honey. Then they check the Spotify and they looking at me funny. I don't blame you, dog, that's how this shit goes. Same two paths, we just pick different roads. Glue on the safe, I just stuck to the code. Now they tell me that I'm driven, bruh, I already drove. So diverse, got too many flows. Checks coming in, got too many O's. Remember in the past, had too many lows. Now when I look around, got too many bros. Don't like to spend it, I told them I'll save it. Now that I'm here, dog, I seen it, they hate it. I'm making hits like I'm running those bases, and they taking shots, bro, I know that they faded. This that shit to make them all go dummy. Now I got bread, they all want something from me. Showing like pros, man, I told them that it's money, and I own my own bars just like it's always sunny. Thought she said something to me. We were never friends, told them I am not your buddy. Now they all call, I got some buzz like honey. Then they check the Spotify and they looking at me funny.
Direction, choose your own path.
Don't just wear anything. Wear garments that mean something. We got hats. We got sweatshirts. We got jackets. We even got hoodies. Let's not forget our classic tees. Direction, choose your own path.
The message is always in the cloth, the colors, the designs, the fit. Basically, pay attention, stay alert, and remember, choose your own path.
Closed-minded folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like we got a demo tape and don't nobody want to hear it, but it's like this the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
This that shit to make them all go dummy. Now I got bread, they all want something from me. Showing like pros, man, I told them that it's money, and I own my own bars just like it's always sunny. Thought she said something to me. We were never friends, told them I am not your buddy. Now they all call, I got some buzz like honey. Then they check the Spotify and they looking at me funny. I don't blame you, dog, that's how this shit goes. Same two paths, we just pick different roads. Glue on the safe, I just stuck to the code. Now they tell me that I'm driven, bruh, I already drove. So diverse, got too many flows. Checks coming in, got too many O's. Remember in the past, had too many lows. Now when I look around, got too many bros. Don't like to spend it, I told them I'll save it. Now that I'm here, dog, I seen it, they hate it. I'm making hits like I'm running those bases, and they taking shots, bro, I know that they faded. This that shit to make them all go dummy. Now I got bread, they all want something from me. Showing like pros, man, I told them that it's money, and I own my own bars just like it's always sunny. Thought she said something to me. We were never friends, told them I am not your buddy. Now they all call, I got some buzz like honey. Then they check the Spotify and they looking at me funny.
DJ Hamp, the Stampede.
Yo, we here. DJ Hamp, the Stampede. We in the building. My brother, Mr. Fantastic. My brother, Aaron, was popping. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, and tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most, man. What's up, Mr. Fantastic? How was your weekend and all that?
Hey, man, another weekend down, baby.
You low.
Let me see. Hold on.
Check your StreamYard.
Yeah, I got you.
You really need to control that smirk every time we ask you about your weekend.
Hey, man, I can't be happy. Goddamn.
But you say the same thing. We don't give us many details, so you leave us to assume that you're out here being promiscuous and frolicking.
Promiscuous? I can't just be happy. I can't just be,
Yes, but one would surmise that getting to the bottom of that vagina makes you extremely exuberant.
Yeah, I mean, it's a part of life. It's part of life, man. Keep you balanced.
Keep you balanced.
Keeps you balanced, man.
Pun intended. We know Aaron went driving and etc. and ate well. Did you see your father this weekend, Aaron?
No, next weekend. He's down at the beach house.
Okay. See, Mr. Fantastic, I pretty much know what Aaron did this weekend.
You pretty much know what I did too, but apparently,
Let me see who in the chat real quick, and we shall get it popping. Aaron with the $2. Oh, excuse me. Aaron, what's good? Mel, you already know. Rebecca, salute. Rock solid in the building.
Wow.
Oh, wrong one. Salute, my G. DC was shaking. Hope all is well. Dr. G in the building. Sun Kiss. Shalom. With the $5 suit. It's not green anymore. You see that? It's not like green or blue or the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Impress. Good morning. Impress always putting in work. That's what's up. Salute. Melly Mel in the building. Rum in the building. Was popping. Good to see you. Ezekiel Ben Israel gifted one. Perfect. What up, buzzing, bird flipping dozen. Holla at your boy, you thought your cousin was. Salute to Ezekiel Ben Israel who gifted one. This might be risky membership, man. Whoever got blessed with it, please maintain it, man. Make sure you guys please hit the like button. There's 60 people in the building already. Hit the like button. CC was popping. Good to see you. Hope everything is everything. Quincy in the building. Salute, my brother. Good to see you. Black America. Good morning, OG. G, how are you, man? Hope all is well. Saw it in the building. Appreciate you. Miss Jilly, make sure y'all say what's up to Miss Jilly in the chat. Hit the like button. Callie putting in work. That's always a blessing. Told you. Even Miss Jilly know. Let me see. Tiff, what's going on? Vet Life in the building. What up, Vet? Leon and Don, salute. Leon, man, he took one of the super Negroes out in the music challenge. I thought R&B was going to be up the super Negroes lane, but the young boy got them up out of here. Championship this Friday. Angel was popping. The Majesty in the building. Salute. Daily.
Shit like that.
Like, share, and subscribe, man. Tell a friend, man. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Hold on. I need another responsible person here in the chat. 1 second. Yeah. There we go. Fellas, how you guys feeling though overall?
Feeling good.
Yep. Good, man.
Regular shit, as you say.
Indeed. I had this, I don't know what it was. We went to the beach, right? And I don't get sunburn, but I don't know. I think my face like breaks out from being in the sun. Is that a thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Sun rash and sun. My skin does it too. On my arms, I break out on my arms. It doesn't really like heal or burn. That's just like top of my shoulders. Might if I do.
Okay.
Like my face right here, but
like
my face and my arm. If it gets on your arms too, it's like a heat rash or something.
Okay, all right. I was like, man, what is going on? They cause my wife was spraying everybody, but my spray wasn't as long. Pause. You know what I'm saying? And I be, you know, she be spraying. I be doing like this, you know, like the kids.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And apparently, I paid for it.
Yeah.
So that's what's up, man. Salute to everybody who in the building. UFO. No, I appreciate the confirmation. Royce, what up? Because I didn't know. I assumed it was that because I think it happened previously, but I just couldn't pinpoint it because it doesn't happen often, you know.
Your melanin is doing its job. It's just some people have a photosensitivity. I'm one too. You know what I mean?
You know, yeah, and the thing that also maybe why I wasn't so keen on it is because it was cloudy.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm also like,
too,
yeah. So I'm literally like, what you spraying that for?
Right. Yeah.
You know, or to be more grammatically correct, why are you spraying us?
Yeah.
You know, in the sentences with a preposition is never good.
Yeah, I didn't know that sun poisoning was a thing until like 2016.
What was it?
Sun poisoning.
Sun poisoning?
Yeah. See?
You can get a lot of it. It's sunstroke, sun poisoning, of course, cancer.
We don't be knowing about none of this shit because you know what I mean.
Yeah, we just outside.
Yeah,
you know, we were just outside, like, you know. Shout out to the water hose, man.
Yeah.
Do you think drinking out of the water hose helped or hurt us?
No, I heard.
Definitely help.
You think so?
Yeah, help.
Yeah. Because them shits are not made for fucking. That's not what it's made for at all, nigga. All kinds of bacteria, germs, and whatever. Hey, make your immune system strong.
Yeah, I don't know. It's odd. It's odd how much they say you're supposed to get sick from doing stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm thinking about the metals, chemicals, and piping.
But it's filtered some. Oh yeah. And that hose just sits outside, right? Like all day.
Yeah, that copper pipe and all that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Inside is different. It's moving. It's temperature control. You know, but I don't know.
Yeah, you just hope it's cold when you turn the water hose on. Yo, man, oh man, interesting, man. Please hit the like button as y'all make your way into the stream. This stream should be awesome. We have a special guest, Gregory Jackson Jr., coming up in about 30 or 40 minutes. He was the gun violence liaison for the White House. He was just on CNN a few days ago talking about what's happening in DC now in terms of I don't have a better word. I think there's a more appropriate phrase, but martial law, you know, differentiating the DC police from the Capitol Police, seemingly, or like the whomever they've dispatched, the National Guard coming up from Virginia, and etc.
Escalating the presence, the force presence. That's all. You can look at that, you know.
Yeah. Well, I guess that's all is the part that's under scrutiny.
Exactly. What happens next? Yeah.
Essentially, because
I don't care. Shout out to President Trump. Shout out to all them people that's doing the fucking job that the city can do for their goddamn self. Shout out.
Show starting early, isn't it?
And and the citizens say they need it and they want it. When you got children out here being victims of, of whatever the hell y'all got going on, do your damn job. Somebody else don't have to do it.
Okay, so I think we need to dive a tad bit deeper. Thank you, Mr. Fantastic, for your opening diatribe. So now that we're doing diatribe and we're so gracefully dressed, Big Aaron, what is your take?
To be determined. You know me. We'll see. I do believe in many cases, most cases, something like that would be beneficial. But again, are we judging the intention or the execution here? And it's the intention that I need to see a little more to really figure out for sure, because that's the one you can't fuck up on. But apples to apples, pound for pound. Yeah, you want to stop crime and meet that shit with force. Done deal.
Now, what do we? So I guess my question is, and we have several clips here. Acceptable loss. Right. Unnecessary casualties, people getting caught in the fray. Like, is that how this works? If a city is infested or overwhelmed with crime, do we have to accept that innocent people also get caught in the crossfire, so to speak?
Well, yeah, that's acceptable laws. That's definitely acceptable laws. If you and the thing is, there's recourse for there really not to be a loss. So if you are arrested or you are harassed by the police, there are systems there in order for you to be able to file reports, and be compensated for your unjust, policing, right? So that's what I say. People focus too much on, oh, they shouldn't have did this, they shouldn't have that. Listen, man, if there are people that win cases, okay, against these cops for profiling, for unlawful arrest and all these different things. If that's the case, go through the process. But if me personally, if I had to get locked up one time and some shit to where it's not a misdemeanor or whatever the fucking line and pay a fine, or I can take it to court and beat it, I think that's worth a child's life being saved. Or several children's life being saved. I make that sacrifice 10 times a day. And anybody that didn't, you're a piece of shit.
Okay. So you would accept being caught in a sweep, so to speak, as long as they were to clean up the streets, because you're going to be exonerated essentially because you've done nothing wrong.
I know I'm not. Listen, I'm not guilty. I know I'm not participating in any type of criminal activity. It's just a momentary inconvenience, right? And I can deal with that, and I have ways to be, like I said, compensated, right, for that, me being involved in whatever. You know what I'm saying?
Understood. Understood. I sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good. I'm just saying, if I'm one of the 10 people that gets picked up and the other 9 are fucking guilty, hey man, I'm good.
Now you know that DC has no bail, so you have to sit there until your arraignment, in which case they'll put you on an ankle monitor, and then you'll be forced to report in urine and give urinalysis and etc. While you're waiting to go through the judicial system
across the board.
Yes,
no matter the arrest.
Yeah, because if you get arrested, right, they let people out, but they're putting them on ankle monitors, putting them on papers, as people would say.
Everybody though.
Yeah,
I know. Anyway, I don't care. I don't do drugs. So yeah, I don't care. Yes, whatever.
Indeed. Now it could be an acute process, right? To your point, because if you get exonerated quickly or it gets thrown out, so be it. And I would assume that's what's going to happen in these sweeps, unless they want you though. I just watched a movie. Just because, you'd be like clicking. I'm about to fall asleep. Let me turn this movie on. You guys do that ever? Like, I'm sitting on the couch. I was watching preseason. And I'm like, oh, it's called If Beale Street Could Talk. Have you guys seen that?
No.
I think it's called If Beale Street Can Talk. But anyway.
Beale Street, what is that? Is that Tennessee or is that New Orleans?
Harlem.
Okay. Well.
So essentially, the gentleman is with his girl. This is back in the 70s or 80s though. Right, so it's a different demographic. It's a different time period, But I got a couple of things up here which I'm going to show you. Is when they're doing these sweeps, the overwhelming majority of people are black. Right now, the city is mostly black. Right, Harlem was mostly black back then. Right, and yeah, there's a Beale Street in a bunch of places. To your point, Mr. Fantastic. Right.
No, my bad. It's cool.
And so he gets arrested for something he didn't do. I.e. Khalif Browder, just to name a name to bring it more to the forefront. And his wife is having a baby, and they're trying to pay for a lawyer and get him out, and he got arrested for rape. And so as the story's going, the baby isn't born. At the end, when you think he's gonna win and get out, his wife and the baby show up, and when he's in prison, and the kid knows how to color. And this is how the movie ends. So I just wonder, are Khalif Browder stories, the movie of Beale Street, are those acceptable losses?
Well, no, I don't think anyone would think that's an acceptable loss for, somebody to spend years upon years upon years. And was he innocent or what? Or well, let's assume he was innocent, right? Let's assume he was innocent. Yeah, but I think we can't make the exception a rule. I think there's very, very few far in between. The same way that's where they always like to claim that, oh man, it's innocent people in prison. That's like 1%. The other 99 are guilty as hell. They're guilty. They did that.
Okay. Aaron, any commentary?
Yeah, again, in thinking about things mathematically, I'm just more worried about where we are as far as collateral damage, and then this change that is to come. What direction will the collateral damage percentage be sent, up or down, and from where are we moving? Because if it's going to go down, I mean, I accept that it's going to exist. There's nothing that pristine and perfect in this world except God. It's the Creator, right? So where are we at now, and what direction are we going? If it's going down at a significant rate, all right, then that's an attribute to the change being made. And it would also kind of lend to the intention analysis I was speaking of. It'll give you an idea as of what people are, especially if it spikes up. That's a pretty clear message.
Yeah.
And then especially I kind of focus it on death because, like everything Mr. Fantastic said, stuff can be handled here on the surface of the earth. How long it takes, how egregious these things are, you know, the availability to each individual to exact certain practices, these, you know, is to be determined. But a life being snuffed from the planet cannot be reversed and cannot be contended, or paid back. And those collateral damage numbers are where the root of my concern starts. Where's that number going? If that one's going down and the administrative collateral damage is going up, even then I think that's a fair exchange, because keep as many people alive first as you can and then deal with their paperwork on the back end. Pause.
Yeah, well, that's essentially how you assume it would go.
I would hope, yes. Yep.
But I just got a few things up here, and then when we speak to Greg himself, you know, he's out there, you know, in the streets driving. You know, a lot of us live on the northeast, southeast sides, right? Where that's where a lot of arrests are happening. And you know, I think that's probably the main crux of the issue, essentially. AL was popping with the $2. So when are the root causes going to be addressed? Do we even know what the root causes are?
Yep. And that's only for us to address. And we're addressing them. I mean, slowly, surely, who cares? Well, not who cares, who knows, right? But the root causes are our responsibility anyway. And something's being done. It's effectiveness, right? We had a conversation. But it ain't their job.
Yeah. No. The root cause is a lack of fathers, lack of order, lack of discipline, lack of parents being parents and raising their fucking kids. That's the root cause. Okay. I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of hearing this poverty and this, that, and the other, because we were poor, right? Black people were the poorest we've ever been 30, 40 years ago. Was the crime rate this high? No. Right. So again, you had morals and values despite being poor, being impoverished. It's a culture, it's an attitude, it's a, you know, F the police, right? F12, right? So when you have this anarchist and chaotic mindset, that's the problem.
And it's different when those kind of monsters are more principled, but when they become cultural, like having that mindset just for the sake of having that mindset, or to prove something that isn't worth, you know, prove a juice that isn't worth the squeeze. I think that's the issue. But you should still be wary of your potential enemy or historical enemy, 100%. Like there's a message to F12. But come on. Like, don't let it turn the cancer on you. But go ahead, I'm sorry.
No. I guess I'm just listening to it, right? And we know that it's a small segment of the population that is in actual participation of what we see. So now if we are saying it's a cultural thing for us, right? Right. But we know that it's a small segment. The people coming in have no idea. They're not policing themselves. So now that jacket or aspersion gets cast in a much wider net. See, that's my fear. So they look at us, how we looking at us, times 10 though.
Mm-hmm.
Their fear, because of lack of understanding, is incrementally increased, right? We have phrases like black fatigue, right? And I was kind of looking at this a few days ago, but I think that is black fatigue is like gaslighting, in my opinion, because every time there is an issue that kind of crosses over like local to national headlines, we see a racial divide each and every time since time immemorial. From O.J. Simpson to Carmelo Anthony to the girl saying nigger and raising $1 million. We always see the racial divide every time there's time to divide. You know? But speaking of the gun violence specifically, man, hit the like button if you can. That helps the channel the most. Let me read this real quick. Hakeem was good, been a member for 13 months. Says, why Big Aaron looking like he run the Black Mafia turned music mogul, and Mr. Fantastic looking like Georgia pimp that runs a Baptist church on the side. Hamp just look like he going to court.
Wow.
Perfect. God damn.
Boy, it's real safe down in that chat with no picture in your motherfucking avatar.
You seen Hakeem before. You seen Hakeem. He light skinned, he young, he got glasses. You see, he got like a little box. You seen him before.
Yeah, military, yeah.
Okay.
All right, so speaking of the gun violence, Mr. Fantastic, can you lead us into this segment regarding Hakeem? What was his last name?
Toure. I got you. Let me I'll share the screen.
Okay, let me unshare this. And so I looked at the story quickly this morning, and I stayed in this hotel when we were in DC.
What, so, like this time?
Yes. So so they have a party.
First off, God bless the dead. You know, unfortunately, his brother lost his life. But that him, I literally said, I was like, damn, this shit happened while we was up there.
Yeah.
So this literally had to happen. Like
it happened Saturday or Sunday? No, Sunday night. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. It had to happen I know it happened while we were there. So this is what caught my eye off the rip. So basically, it's this young guy right here. They were having a pool party or some type of thing with the pool upstairs.
Yep.
Altercation happened. They were kicked out. It followed out and spilled into the street. Yep. And it was boys and girls or whatever. The boys were fighting the girls or whatever. And he wanted to put his drawers on outside of his pants, be admirable and save the day. And they couldn't save his life.
They could not save his life. He did not die on the scene. He died in the so this is Sunday for sure. After we left the Airbnb, right? You left before me, then I left, right? Went back to the hotel. Yeah. Me, August and I, as a matter of fact. August can attest. We walking up because the hotel was where the party was. That's where we were staying. And we couldn't walk through the front door because it was all roped off. It was all yellow taped off. So we was about to walk through, and the guy's like, "Hey, they'll arrest you because that's not a live crime.
Active crime scene.
Active crime scene." So we had to go through the side door to get in the hotel, and then they got the not the bellman, but the front desk, whoever was at the front desk, was saying the same exact thing. Yeah, they was arguing. They had 2 shots, and they shot him dead like right in front of the hotel. Just like they said he could have been on the curb where the hotel was and the street, like literally right in front of the hotel. You know, the hotel has like a little, where you drive into.
I got the video right here. So they're not, not gonna actually see him get shot, but you're gonna see the commotion. So it's to be safe. So I played it in my
He was in the valet of the hotel when he got hit, like right outside the
you
door.
see. So that's the sidewalk, and there's like that little circle for the valet.
But yeah,
you want me to go ahead and play it?
Yeah.
Come on.
That's him right there. So the guy that walked up in the white t-shirt the last time, and that's why I tell you guys, man, I might go finish. People really can't do that. You know what I mean?
Wait, which one was he?
The one. So I'll try to slow it down.
I heard at least 5 shots.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can. Nah, it won't let me make it any larger. Come on. All right, so everybody involved now are just people that's there. Let me see. I'm gonna pause it. All right, well, actually, let me go back some. So this is him right here, right here, the one that's dropping his bag.
Yeah.
Him. That's him right there. As soon as he smoked, bro, it was like mid swing. He let off.
The dude in the black pants and the white shirt, right? Was the gunman? Yeah,
one of the skinny dudes. Yeah.
You can see when he was pulling it out, though. Exactly. You can see when he was pulling it out.
Exactly. He was there just in case anybody else got involved, man. So that's why I be telling y'all. Listen, dog. Saving somebody's life that you don't know is an admirable thing, I guess.
Wait. What? Where are you getting that from, though? Based on that video?
What do you mean?
He walked up fighting.
Yeah, because they were fighting. He was trying to stop them from fighting a girl. That was a girl they were into it with. So it was several guys and girls. So he jumped in to get the guys because he saw men fighting women.
Where you getting that from?
That's what they told the story on the thing. Everybody said his family said that.
That doesn't make sense though.
How it don't make sense? You see the dude slapping the girl in the beginning.
But it doesn't seem like he's a bystander though.
No, he definitely was. He didn't know none of those people.
It's an all-white party, mind you. So he's definitely in the party.
Yeah, but that don't mean he don't know the people. He don't know he didn't know the what's name. The story that was told by the people that were there said he stepped in because the boys were fighting whoever the girl was or the girls were, and he's going to
again.
All right, hold on.
Because I can't see. It doesn't seem like he's randomly stepping in.
Oh,
he kind of drops his book bag, right? Hikes his pants up, and he's fighting. And he knows exactly who to swing on.
No, I don't think it's exactly. It's just the fact, man. It's the guy he sees fighting the girl. So let me go back. All right, so those, of course, that's a girl right there, right?
Yeah.
What's the name? Shitty, but that's the best you're gonna get.
I think you saw him pulling his gun out.
The boy, so that girl is getting this boy off of the girl that's on the ground.
Oh, come on.
And then he immediately swings on her because she pulled him off of her. And that's another girl. Now another girl comes in, and now they're just teeing off on all these females.
Look at the dude with the black pants on too. Don't take your eyes off them either.
He about to tee off on the girl that just stepped in.
Nothing.
Hit her with a cell phone. He's not with none of them.
Okay, I can see it. I can see it now.
Yeah, he's off to the side, and he just witnesses what's going on, right? And what's so crazy about this shit, Aaron pointed this out to me. Now that you understand, this nigga had a cell phone in one hand that he just used, and now this nigga used the other hand to fucking pull the strap.
There it is, right there. You see when he pulled it out?
Yeah, instantly.
It was right there.
Hit him like 2 more times.
Okay, I can see it. I can see that. I can see it now. I can see it now. He sees the commotion and he's like, they beating up these girls.
Yeah.
So he ready to fight from afar because he ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
He just knows that it's girls versus boys. So he knows if he punches a boy, he's on the girl side.
Yeah.
I could see it because he don't have no dialogue.
Yeah.
And he ain't see homeboy draw the ratchet either because his back was kind of turned to him and he was running in when he pulled it and then turned around. Like he pulled it on the spin. I don't even know if he was really pulling it for the dude. I think he might have been thinking about hitting the chick.
Yeah.
Because it was cell phone ratchet.
Yeah.
Just like that. One hand, then the other. Like the cell phone, he hit her and the other one was already reaching. And he turns around and was like, oh, there's another dude, another cockman now. Wow.
He was going to shoot somebody for sure.
Yeah, 100%.
And it makes sense probably in his subconscious to shoot the dude that's with the girls.
When he discovered him, as soon as on the spin, was like, oh, you the first one.
So, Miss Fantastic, what was your commentary?
Well, no, my commentary was this thing about black men don't protect black women is a myth. Many black men every day, every year lose their lives trying to intervene into altercations that have nothing to do with them, even including domestic violence situations. And you can pay the ultimate price for this. Okay. It's again, I am not giving up my life to random people that I don't know. That's not my job. I'm not a superhero. I'm not the police. I see some shit going on, especially if I don't have my firearm on me. If you're going to get involved with anything that don't got to do with you, bro, you better have it on you. You better have it out, because it's hands for thee and fire for thee. Okay. For you non-Southern folks, that means gun, firearm. Okay. You getting shot. The same story we told about in the thing, right? HAMP, I think we covered this when it happened. The dude down in Walmart down here, he had a newborn baby and he intervened, but he was beating the shit out of old girl in Walmart. Nobody even thinking he got a gun or nothing. Soon as buddy stepped in to intervene, hit him with that hot shit. So people gonna say a whole bunch of crazy shit and you a coward and you were this and you were that. Nigga, I'm living, okay? And I don't get paid to motherfucking risk my life for strangers.
Even if I got the shit on me, I'm not gonna be so proactive. I mean, I'll be a little more assertive in my request for the authorities. I might get vocally involved from afar, but unless you're trying to come over here and stop me from using my phone or making my top lip touch my bottom lip, pause forever, you do some shit like that, you're gonna walk into a wall of some of rain that you ain't gonna be able to deal with. But I'm not coming over there with the blicky. I'm calling you an asshole while I'm on the phone with these cops. Stop your bullshit. And if you don't, all right, very well. Just don't come over here, son.
He walks up, drops his book bag. He's deliberate in his action. He knows who he's swinging on.
This is
for
true.
sure.
Yeah.
And then that happens to him. And I
just real quick, my bad before you get into
go ahead.
Who was it? Was it a white man? Was it an Asian man? Was it the Arab? Was it the Mexican?
No. That boy lost his life. I can't, and you know, I'm not particularly afraid, right? I can't even see the righteousness in it.
Right.
I can't help but see the foolishness. Even if he was trying to do the righteous thing.
Right.
The time of day it is, when I was walking in and out, how everybody was dressed in there, you know, I think I got home by like 12 o'clock, but we were just hanging out at the Airbnb, you know, the last day. And I just can't see it for the young boy. And now it's a whole bunch of people in the pain which basically looks like no reason. What could they have been fighting over?
Right.
And it's crazy, Miss Fantastic. I just covered this story about the Bronx, and I was saying the same thing. Like, I've overwhelmingly seen men crash or go hard for the women that they care about. Like, overwhelmingly, I know girls go call their brother, their uncles, or their cousins, and those men show up. You know what I mean? In terms of the unprotected thing.
What's on most gravestones?
What is it?
I'm saying when you go in the graveyard, most of them is about what? And
the first grave by the dollar, the next two by the woman.
They're right. There you go.
So let me play this just so we can get a little bit more context in it.
A Riverdale man gunned down outside a D.C. hotel. His family is now pushing for answers. Police say Akeem Toure was taking photographs at a rooftop pool party last night when he was involved in a verbal fight. The 27-year-old was found shot to death near the entrance to Yotel's parking garage. That's just a couple of blocks from Union Station. Toure's family tells News 4 he died trying to protect a woman at the party. News 4's Paul Wagner reports the family wants justice.
Want justice for my son. Justice for my son.
Outside the family home in Riverdale today, Hakeem Touré's mother is overcome with emotion as she grieved the loss of her son.
My life. Let justice be served. Let justice be served for my son.
An IT specialist who came here from Sierra Leone when he was a child.
It was just maybe a 5-minute discussion or argument that happened. And what they don't understand is who they took from us. He wasn't he wasn't a bad guy at all. If you go on his LinkedIn, he's a corporate guy. He works for so many IT companies.
DC police say Sunday night, Hakeem Touré was shot multiple times outside the parking garage of the Yotel on New Jersey Avenue, just a few blocks from the Capitol.
According to law enforcement sources familiar with the investigation, the shooting stemmed from an argument over a woman that began during what's been described as a rowdy pool party on the roof of this hotel here on New Jersey Avenue. According to family members of Hakeem Touré, he was trying to protect that woman when he was shot.
We don't even know the girl that he was standing up for. Nothing. We don't have anything yet. And it's crazy because it's literally a couple minutes from the Capitol. And I mean, there's a fire station literally right next to it.
Pause it real quick? That's another thing. The girls that he tried to save, they ain't gonna show up to the funeral. They ain't gonna get they ain't gonna pay their condolences. They in the wind because you know what I'm saying? They don't even know the girls that he saved, and they not coming forward. So remember that when people try to pressure you into, oh, you a coward, you were this, you were that. You can go ahead.
Laid on the ground and passed away.
In a statement to News 4, the Yotel management said, on Sunday, August 3rd, our team assisted the police with the investigation of a fatal shooting that took place on the sidewalk in front of the parking garage adjacent to our hotel. This is an ongoing investigation, and we do not have further details. Please direct all inquiries to local authorities. In a post to X early this morning, D.C. police said detectives were looking for a man with dreadlocks, wearing a white shirt and shorts, driving a black sedan, possibly a Honda. Family members say Hakeem's father passed away a few years ago, and the 27-year-old was always looking out for his mother and sister.
Literally always looking at the next convention to go to, the next, like anything, just trying to level up and help his family, you know?
In the district, Paul Wagner, News 4.
That shit, boy. It just. So what do? We do away with that, huh? For randoms.
I've been saying this. I think we had this conversation earlier on, and I was all kinds of cowards and all this other shit and so on and so forth. Bro, this is not those times. I don't think that's what people understand. Hemp, it's not 20 years ago where if you step in and you helping somebody, it's hands on hands. It's just not the same environment. It's not the same rules.
Yeah. And it's crazy because literally I'm walking in the hotel, we can't get through. You know what I'm saying? So we had to go around. You know, probably I bet you we was probably an hour or so behind what happened for sure. Because they were still out there, but obviously the body wasn't there anymore or anything. So the recommendation is what? Mind your business?
Well, not mind your business. I think Aaron gave the what's the name? Safely intervene as much as you possibly can. Call the authorities immediately. Right? If you can do something from afar and heckle from afar, by all means, hey man, stop it. What are you doing? Police, fire, whatever, right? Do with what you can do safely. But again, man, this ideology that we are in the same conditions that we were. And again, the crazy thing, when you hear the women that say this shit, right? Well, would you have your son, your husband, your father, or whatever go over there and jump into some shit with some random woman you don't know, and now he gone, and she don't give a damn, and he ain't never coming back? He can't even get a thank you. Then it, then some of them will, give a realistic answer.
Yeah. I mean, I remember we did the women's POV some time back, and one of the ladies was saying, yeah, she expects her man to do that, even in the face of death, to protect all women or women that are under duress. And
I hope that nigga left her.
Well, there's no way you can, and see, you can't determine your repercussions, right? Let's say you go over there, hey, y'all chill. They already in it. They already up. They already escalated, right? He see you running up, you probably get shot then. He see you throwing a punch, you get shot then. I just don't know how. I guess you call the police, maybe from afar or whatever the case is. Now, in that moment, it seemed like he just kind of reacted almost.
I think there's a wall between everybody, and that wall is based on what you have available at your disposal and what the other person could potentially have available at their disposal. And you got to know exactly where you are in relationship to that wall. And whatever they pull out, how much time do they have to get to their worst? And how much time do you have to get to your worst? And if it don't shake out in your favor, don't do it. And that wall is physically and legally. You got to be aware of everything you have and the potential of what they have. And you got to be able to deal with whatever it is that they produce on your ass. If not, stay your ass away from that wall, at least on your side. Now they come climbing the wall, they got to deal with you. But you got to know where that wall is and how far to stay away from it. Unless you got a cannon with Johnny Cochran revived, be safe, man.
Yeah. Another thing I have to say, why is there a fight amongst men and women? I don't understand that.
That's the bullshit.
For the life of me, yo. And I swear, people, the young boys do not differentiate between men and women.
They don't. Hamp. That's what I'm saying. That Hamp. There is no more of don't. You know what I mean? The women are raising boys that anybody put hands on you, you put hands and feet on them. There's no father anymore to say, hey, don't hit the girl. Girls are different, and so on and so forth, and la. This is what happens when you take the fathers out of the equation. Everything is equal. Because remember, the mama is what, Hamp? She's the mother and the father. Right? So if your mama is both, every other fucking woman is both.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the point. There is there's so much shit that come with wanting to do what the other sex does. There's so much shit that comes with equality. And these long niggas do not care. They do not differentiate. You don't get to talk to them any kind of way. You don't get to say, but I'm a female. You don't got Craig jumping out the basket talking about that's a female. Most of them young boys do not give a shit. Attitude, your countenance, how you conduct yourself matters in all these situations. You don't control the escalation. I just wonder if people are really thinking about, I guess people don't think about the repercussions. And they be swearing up and down you can control them. And see, I just know myself to know enough to where I could probably end up in that situation on the wrong side, if I get perturbed. Matter of fact, me and my man, we were parking a car one day. Matter of fact, really close to this on New Jersey Avenue. We go into this bar, like we was playing flag football, and we go into the bar. So we go into the bar, and there's a black female security guard, right? And she's like in front of this, I don't know, whatever it was, she's just by herself. So this dude over there. She's like, can you just move, please? So he cussing her out. Shut the fuck up, bitch this, bitch that. You know what I'm saying? And she like, just move down. You can sit here, but you can't sit right there. You got to sit. You got to go down there, or else I'm going to have to call the police, right? So he just cussing her out. So I'm crossing the street. I'm like, yo, you good? You know? Essentially, whatever the case is, right? And so I'm kind of like walking, but I'm trying to cross the street. So I'm walking kind of fast, right? Towards the dude. And my man like, chill. But my man was like ready, but he was like, chill. Because the dude had like a little knife on him. You know? And that didn't really like do much per se. But when we got over there, you know, and my man, he pretty like, the dude moved down the block with the words only, right? I just wonder if the words didn't do enough, what would have happened next? And it's almost like a similar situation with the exception that he ain't have a gun, you know? But I was so like kind of just looking at it, and he was a white dude too, right? He called him bitch, this, whatever. My man kind of he saw it though. Like he saw he had a little blade on him or whatever the case is.
Hey, and shout out to him. Listen, that's another thing too, Hamp. Bro, people don't, bro, what Aaron to tell you this. Where are their hands? What is in their hands? Do they have a fucking print from showing, you know what I mean? They're carrying, they holding, are they pants sagging too much to one side? Bro, none of this shit is being taught him. People don't even understand this shit. Situational awareness can literally save your life.
That's the first thing I'm looking at. When we watched that video, the first thing I saw was when he drew and where he drew it from. You know what I mean? That's the first thing I see. What are your hands doing? What are your eyes doing? And what are your hands doing? Marry them together, and they'll tell you exactly what they're going to do next.
Yeah, no, 100%, man. Just looking at it, I'm just thinking about like a real situation, you know, and how I was kind of like just hearing them. And the girl was, and the thing about it is she wasn't even fussing. You see, that's the other thing that made me see it pretty clearly. She was just like, sir, please just go down the hall, you know, go down the street, you know. And I'm like, yo, you don't hear her? She just working. Just walk down the block.
Your hero instinct was triggered. Yeah, the scenario. Yeah, see,
you know,
and that's what we talk about, how women can leverage femininity so that it becomes their power. That right there, I think, is an example of exactly how that can happen. She triggers your shit, and you are ready to go.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And I wasn't overt, but it was enough to where I was like, come on.
Yeah, you're activated, and there's nothing wrong with that. I think that's what we need. That it just. The equality piece on the other end to meet that righteousness with some bullshit is the problem.
Yeah, man. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most, man. Salute to everybody here so far. Aaron with the $2 says, this what it means to fight for equality. I think it's definitely more to mine out and talk through with this. But it's definitely time to circle back to the whole DC situation to get, you know, a direct perspective. You know, I have several videos that we didn't get to, but I think we'll be able to mine through and articulate those out. I appreciate my brother for coming up here. We got a very special guest.
Perfect.
Greg, what's poppin'?
What's up, man? That Yachty have you going?
How's it going, man?
It's all right, man. It's highs and lows. As Clip said, all things considered. We're gonna make it work.
Indeed, man. Super good to see you, man. All praises, you know.
You too.
We've been looking at this and going over it, and I gave them just a very acute intro, you know, about kind of what you do, who you are. I mentioned like you're on CNN more than a few times. Can you give everybody just a little bit of background if you don't mind?
Yeah. Well, pleasure to be here, man. Thanks again for having me.
Yes, sir.
You know, just background wise, I mean, I always joke, but I'm just a country boy from Virginia, man. I was someone who saw how, you know, Black folks in rural Virginia and rural America were being overlooked and forgotten about. And so decided I wanted to change things. And so I got into politics as early as college and coming out of college, worked on the Obama campaign and ran his operation in North Carolina and moved my way up the campaign and political ladder, and even served in the executive suite of the DNC. But while I was there, literally that same time, me and my cousins were out we had a bachelor party, frankly, and as we were leaving, a shootout happened and I got shot. The bullet that hit me hit 2 arteries and nearly cost me my life. I got within like 26 minutes of dying, and I went through 6 months of recovery. And frankly, while I was recovering, I saw the same elected officials and politicians that I helped campaign for and elect, turn a blind eye to this issue. I'm literally in the room with crutches and they're saying they can't do anything about this. And this was while there was like mass shootings and Sandy Hook, where you had, frankly, little white children who were shot and killed, and they still wouldn't take action. And so that's where I decided to kind of pivot from like the campaign world and like the traditional political world and really just focus on this issue specifically of gun violence and making our community safer. And so I worked at the city level for 5 years, built my way up. And then in 2022, really 2019 to 2022, really started working at the federal level. In 2022, we passed the first law on gun violence in 30 years. I was one of the big advocates and architects for that. It's the Bipartisan Safer Communities Act. And then when it came time to implement this big law that had, $15 billion in it, all these major policy changes, I was recruited to join the White House to help implement it. And so I was part of the team that implemented that law, identified new solutions, and was the first deputy director for the first ever White House office of gun violence prevention. So seen it all, man. Been from rural Virginia, inner cities. I've been from the hospital to the White House, man, and really been focused on this issue for about the last 12 years now.
I was just asking people, what do they do? That's how you do it. That's how you get it done. Something that you advocate for when you have a passion and real life anecdotal experience. You actually bring that and say, okay, let me do something about it, man. Hey, man, I love you. I love you for that. Just, the passion is there and there's a purpose. We were actually just talking about the brother Akeem Toure, who got shot and killed outside of Yotel a few weeks back.
Yeah.
And I was actually a guest in Yotel at that time. We just kind of went through that story. The thing that is on top of mind now is just the administration, and I called it martial law. I think Big Aaron here in the corner put it a little bit better, but that's the only way I can see it. What is the experience? What is your thoughts on what's happening in DC currently?
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I live in Anacostia, so I'm in one of the neighborhoods that are being targeted. So just the other day, we were out, my neighbors, we had some oysters and stuff, was out chilling. And then you see Border Patrol, big trucks and Secret Service and folks jumping out of vans and grabbing homeless folks. I mean, it is wild, man, what's happening right now. I think what's really happening is this isn't about gun violence or safety. It's really about Trump taking control of law enforcement in DC. And
Okay.
here's a couple reasons why we know that's true. On 4th of July, he signed a big, beautiful bill. He cut DC's budget by $1 billion, which will lead to a 40% reduction in their law enforcement. He already terminated $800 million in public safety and violence prevention grants from the Department of Justice, right? And he's also made a major cut to the ATF. And even the federal agencies he brags about, most of them, he made major cuts to their budgets because they're focused on gun industry regulations and gun traffickers and gun stores. And then in this conference, he talked about how there was too many officers and that they're not tough enough. So he's bringing in his guys. So this is about him shrinking the local police footprint, tucking them under his control, and then bringing in his big boys from West Virginia and Ohio and from wherever. And so that he can have complete control. And it started with, trying to get rid of undocumented immigrants. Then it pivoted to homeless encampments, but now it's just outright targeting young Black men. And they're literally walking up on people's porches and asking them if they're smoking what they're smoking. They're starting to do old stop and frisk measures again. So it's pretty incredible, but they're really trying to change the makeup of the city and using this military as an excuse to do that.
Understood. Now, when you say targeting young black men? Are you saying because of the areas in which they police, or what gives you that sentiment? I saw a video where you were riding by and there was 1 million of them on the street. I saw that video, but what gives you that sentiment?
Yeah, I mean, right now they're patrolling high population centers like U Street. You know all about DC. U Street, 14th Street, for all of our listeners, kind of where most people dine and drink. And then they have targeted neighborhoods they call hotspots, and they're focused on neighborhoods like Anacostia, Congress Heights, Berry Farms, all that are historically black neighborhoods. And so it's not just, I mean, they also, frankly, they just grabbed someone off a food delivery scooter yesterday, I think off of 14th Street. They're hitting people on all angles, but when it comes to the residential areas, they are highly concentrated on black communities.
Gotcha. Okay. And then those are called hot spots, so to speak. Right.
Yeah, that's what police would call it. Mm-hmm.
Gotcha. So they up there in Simple City and 50th, where you live, the whole 9 yards, yep. Alabama. And are they playing? They're not playing by the local police rules then.
Well, that's the challenge. I mean, right now it's a mixed bag. I mean, I think the challenge is you got a lot of folks who don't quite know. I mean, in our community, they don't quite know the ins and outs of the law, right? Like, for example, marijuana is decriminalized in DC. So you think, okay, decriminalized, I can smoke wherever I want. Well, no, you can't actually smoke where you want. But you can own and you can smoke in your house. Another big thing, like if you don't pay your metro and you just jump the turnstile, if you will, that's supposed to be a $50 fine. But they never thought of that as like a major, they never thought of that as like a major, violation or a major offense of the law. They just thought of it as like $50 fine. I'll eat the fine if they catch me. But now with federal law enforcement, man, they're cracking down. They see you smoking a blunt at the park, they'll put you in the back of the car and take you away. If you jump the turnstile and don't pay the metro, they'll take you away. And so it's a mix of, frankly, like the community not quite knowing how severe these laws are. And if they do know that they're severe or not that severe, they've been used to kind of just speeding a little bit. The speed limit 55, you go 65, right? Like that type of culture where folks know that, hey, it's not a big deal. I can get away with it. But now you have a federal law enforcement that's cracking down extremely hard on the smallest infringements. And frankly, we haven't seen the worst of it yet because there's still folks coming in from other countries, other states, excuse me. We got folks from West Virginia that were just announced as of this weekend that are coming. And so I think we're going to start to see more and more law enforcement coming in with this very hard-nosed approach to all forms of crime and really pouring into neighborhoods that are, frankly, the least educated and least aware of what their rights are.
I see. So the leverage has been there, but now it's being used. So every little thing, right? You can get someone on, we saw it with the mobsters, right? With the RICO, you get them on something small to get them in there, and then you really start to dig deep and dig down.
Yeah.
Mr. Fantastic, one of my co-hosts for this show specifically, he's actually a proponent of this because he's saying crime is so bad that you have to take these extreme measures, regardless of, casualties, innocent casualties. He's saying that acceptable loss is what happens when you get to this point where crime is so terrible.
Well, look, I hear that argument. But look, man, if we think, locking people up is the way that we solve crime, then America would be the safest country in the world. We incarcerate way more than any other country. Even if you look at states like Louisiana has the highest incarceration rate, but it's consistently been top 3 murder states of the country, right? So we know that just simple cracking down, locking people up doesn't end this crisis, right? But we also know, on the other hand, that violence is real, that people are struggling. It is hard. Like I'm going through it. I've lost family. I've lost friends. Like I've felt it firsthand. Mm-hmm. So the real question is like, okay, well, what are our options? The good news is that we now know what works. So we have found that when you invest in community violence intervention, when you invest in helping survivors heal, when you also focus upstream in your accountability. So we do need accountability, but it's not just cracking the 16-year-old that has an illegal gun. We got to make sure we're cracking down on that 56-year-old white man who trafficked the firearms there, or the gun store that's been illegally selling guns for years and hasn't been held accountable, or the gun industry that's actively marketing guns to cause more harm, or not upgrading their product, like Glocks, for example. We know Glock switches are a really big problem, but Glock switches are already illegal. But if Glock just upgraded their design, then Glock switches wouldn't even be a thing. But right now, Glock says we're not doing that. It's not important to us. That's what criminals do, as opposed to being smart about enhancing their design. And so we know that when you invest in community, and when you hold the gun industry accountable, when you hold gun dealers accountable, when you start to put more accountability on how guns are getting to our communities, you can drastically reduce violence. And if folks don't believe that, here's the proof. So the last 3 years, we've seen a 31% reduction in homicides, and we've seen our largest reductions in major cities that have taken this approach. So you have places like Boston, only had 24 homicides last year. Newark, New Jersey, which we all know Newark is still tough. Newark is still brick city. Newark only has 8 homicides this year, right? Places like Baltimore, we talk about how Baltimore numbers are dropping consistently. Baltimore is now safer than DC statistically. No one would ever have guessed that in our lifetimes, right? But that's because they're employing these strategies. Miami, lowest numbers since 1956. Detroit, lowest numbers in 40 years. Every major city that's investing in community and starting to look upstream to keep guns out of their communities, like hitting the source, are seeing results. And so I say that, like, look, do we need better law enforcement? Do we need harsher laws? My answer is yes, but not targeted on individuals in poor Black and brown communities. But I think it's targeting more regulations at the folks who are profiting off of these legal guns getting into our neighborhoods.
Man, wow. So the interesting thing is, well, one thing that you said that kind of interests me, and it was a super chat. Shout out to my brother Joel. He was citing other places that have a whole lot of crime where this isn't happening. I guess the allegation is this is less about crime and more about control of DC and how DC is ran because it's so largely democratic. What's your take on that?
Yeah. Okay. So it's absolutely not about crime, because look, Trump was in Japan 2 months ago, and they asked him about crime in the U.S., and he bragged about how DC crime is down 35%. So he knows the numbers. He went from that bragging to now saying everything's terrible, everything's horrible, the leadership's incompetent, the crime's out of control. He's just using language to get what he wants. But if you look at the statistics, there's no reason why you deployed all this. If he actually was paying attention to statistics and really cared about crime the way that we think, then in 2021, when we saw the steepest increase in homicides in American history, the steepest spike when he was president, then that's when we would have saw the National Guard. That's when we would have saw all these big ideas. But no, right now we're on a downward trend, and he wants to deploy this. What this really about, I think, in my opinion, is two things. It's one, it's about this is an opportunity for him to seize power and control. But two, it's also about one of his own getting beat up. I mean, there's no coincidence that there's video or pictures of his Doge Big Balls dude bloody, and now the next week all this stuff is rolled out. And so this is not based on numbers. It's not based on strategy. This is frankly just a power grab. And I think honestly that attack on Big Balls is what kind of fired up enough to focus on it.
Damn. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend to tell a friend. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. Mr. Fantastic, did you have anything? I saw you kind of gesturing and such. Aaron and Greg, I got 1 million, but I can call you. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I could call you anytime. I want to see if they got, you know what I mean? Because I could text you. Hey, Negro, what about X, Y, and Z? You know? Aaron?
So, I did have a question. Do we think that he's exploiting the efficiency of the possibility of doing a power grab using these different police forces? And I say that because there is no state police to buffer the distance between local law enforcement and federal law enforcement. The leap is quantum from one to the other. So like if you tried to pull that here in the Commonwealth of PA, all right, you can minimize the forces of the police in Philadelphia and Pittsburgh, our 2 largest cities. But then the state's going to come in before the feds are allowed to act like they're acting in DC. Do you think that he's using the proximity of those 2 enforcement agencies to his advantage? And do you think that can spill over into actual states and commonwealths where that's gonna be a lot harder to do?
Yeah, I mean, look, this is This is exactly why DC folks have been screaming for statehood for so long, because we've been vulnerable to this. Like, whenever we want to move a budget, Congress got to decide. But at any time, based on home rule, if the president wants to seize local law enforcement or local government resources in an emergency, right, whatever he deems an emergency, he can. And so, I mean, for lack of better words, I mean, Trump essentially is the governor, right? Like, that's how he can move power-wise, because there is no state infrastructure. And states have those protections and those abilities to say no or to say yes, like they don't have to adhere to, just like was it Connecticut, I believe, or no, Vermont, Trump said, give me your National Guards. And he said, no, I'm not doing that. So states can decide, like, they have those protections. DC doesn't have any of that. We don't have a senator. We don't have a governor. We don't have members of Congress. We're like a special group of folks who are here, being taxed without representation. And it all seemed like politics until now, where he can just take law enforcement and say, y'all with me now. And our mayor has lost all her teeth. And so I think he's trying to test the grounds for how we can do it in other cities. He's already talking about Baltimore and LA and Oakland, and he's only targeting black cities, black mayors, to be frank. And I think if there's enough public buy-in, if people see this and celebrate it, and if he can win the narrative war, then I think he will try it in places like Pennsylvania. So I don't think this is the end. I think just policy-wise, it's very easy for him to use DC in this way to really make a case and start to tell the story of how this is how we keep our communities safe.
So I agree, and thanks for the edification there. Makes 100% sense to me. So I guess my last question would be, since he's successfully using DC as the pilot town essentially, and that there's a future plan to target some more locally vulnerable cities and some cities that have a heavy black population, do you think there's enough time in his administration, the length that's left in his administration, to be able to effectively move that needle, or do you think it'll either die or be easy to reverse for the next guy to come in?
I don't think any of us can afford to underestimate him.
Okay.
I mean, he's already implemented 47% of Project 2025, and it's, what is he at, month 8?
Yeah.
Right. So this guy is, he's tearing through that checklist. And look, honestly, I think this might be the least of our worries. I think we don't talk enough about the big, beautiful bill and what that meant. He signed it into law, but the reason we're not feeling it yet is almost every major cut doesn't go into effect until the fall of 2026. So we're not going to feel the housing cuts, the employment cuts, the health system cuts until next fall, till after the midterms. And that was very brilliant of them to backload it so we don't feel it until elections are out the way. So I think he's stacking the deck to move as aggressively and effectively as he can. And so I don't think we can wait. I don't think we should be assuming that he can't pull it off. I think right now we have to win the narrative war. We got to create protections. We got to make sure that cities and states have what they need, the resources they need, especially if he starts cutting off money from them that don't, listen to his approach. And frankly, I think we need to start thinking about the midterms and how we can build up a new army of folks to fight back in Congress, because we won't have the feeling in America will be probably the same next summer as it is now, because even no matter how crazy he is, a lot of people don't feel it yet, don't feel the pain yet. And I think that's by design. They're strategically backloading it so that they can get through this election, and then they can run up everything else that they want to do during his lame duck. So I think he definitely could pull it off, unfortunately.
Appreciate the edification. I think the advice that I'm taking from that is simply, don't forget about the grenades that are going off in the here and now, but he's setting up pressure cookers, right?
Mm-hmm.
Things that are going to slow burn and going to show up later, 6 months, 12 months, 18 months, 6 quarters down the line. When you can stop them now, right? There's a low effort input now. Later on, the outcome is going to be. So, I appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Man, Mr. Fantastic.
Yes, indeed.
Brother.
Greg, these are my brothers, Mr. Fantastic and Big Aaron, man. I appreciate you. Mr. Fantastic, what's goody?
Hey man, what's going on, man?
Oh, pardon me. I need to have my professional, Mr. Fantastic. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. How you doing, Mr. Jackson? How you doing? There, good sir.
I'm good. How are you, man?
I'm all right, man. I'm Mr. Jackson, man. You have quite the you running for politics, brother? You go run for office, brother? You plan on it?
Maybe one day. I mean, I think the reality is, man, everyone should be involved in politics. They say if you don't do politics, politics will do you. And so yeah, I haven't gotten there yet, but maybe,
man. Because I mean, you got the the Democratic playbook down pat, brother. Now again, most of the majority of everything you said is, Trump this, Trump that, all these different things, and we're not focusing on the actual issue and the problem that is the crime-ridden area that we all know. I think at some point in time back in the 80s, I think DC was the murder capital of the country, right? So when we look at the history of the city of DC within itself, and I don't understand why we keep trying to differentiate and say they're focusing on black areas and black this and black that when DC has always been predominantly black. So if a city is predominantly black, is the numbers say more likely than not they're going to police and going to have higher crime areas in predominantly black cities because it's mostly black people. But and shout out to you, brother, for surviving, the gun issue and so on and so forth. But clearly you are, I won't say anti-gun, but you're definitely not pro-gun. So I'll just ask you, are you anti-gun? Do you think we need guns as American citizens?
That's a great question. So look, I'm a gun owner. I grew up on a farm. My dad has 26 guns. I've been hunting my whole life. So I'm not anti-gun. But what I do realize is the risk of having a firearm in the home. And I also see this delusion that the gun industry has painted that guns are the way that we keep our family safe. A gun is an offensive tool. It is your last resort, not your first resort. And right now we have a $7 billion industry that's marketing to you that everyone needs to have a gun on their hip to be safe. And look, Mr. Fantastic, I'm gonna be real with you. I got shot in the street, man. If I had a gun on me, I would have died, because if I had tried to defend myself versus evade, I would have been shot in the chest instead of in the leg, right? And so I think we have to realize that I can be pro-gun, I can be a gun owner, but I also can fight against this obsession, this delusion, frankly, that this is how we keep our community safe. Now, if you're talking about protecting ourselves from tyranny and the military, storming your house and taking your wife and children, that's a whole different discussion than just protecting your home day to day.
Yeah, that's part of it. But actually and statistically that more guns help and save people than.
No, that's not true. You're looking at the data from John Lott. John Lott has been debunked thousands of times. His last study was in the early 90s.
I'm not looking at that person specific. I've never even heard of that person. So this is what I'm going to say, right? So for I think, how many gun deaths are there per year?
Right now, well, this year we're doing pretty good, but typically it's around 30,000.
So 30,000 gun deaths per year out of 300 million plus people. That's 0.01% or something like that, right?
Yeah, I mean, okay. Where you gonna
right? Less than 1%. So if we have 30,000 deaths, and I think we have 1 million some odd police officers, and we have hundreds of millions of gun owners, how do you say, therefore, that with 30,000 people dying per year, that's more than the people that own guns and deter people from breaking in their homes and from being robbed and from being things? Where are you getting this data from?
So just to, the good thing, the sad thing, but the good thing about gun violence data, it's the most reliable data you can find. It's life or death, right? And so when we think about this crisis of guns, you can compare it to how many people are alive and dead all you want, but in reality is this is the number one cause of death for youth. This is the number one cause of death for Black men under 44. This is the number one cause of death for all pregnant women above childbirth complications is homicide by firearm. This is the leading cause of newly disabled Americans. This is the number 2 cause of death for Black women, the number 2 cause of death for Latino men. And so if you want to just throw this out there against how healthy every human on America is, that's not a real way to think about data. You have to think about what is the biggest threat to our public health. And right now, especially as a Black man, especially as someone who may have black children or want to have black children or have a black wife or just have a child in general, this is the biggest threat to all of us. And so statistically, there are a lot of arguments. John Lott is the biggest, quote unquote, pusher of this research that guns make you safer. But in every single scenario, having a gun in the home does not make you safer from an outside threat.
But it's not just a home.
More risky.
Well, it's not just a home. I think here recently, earlier this year, 2 different mass shootings were stopped by gun carrying individuals. There's one in a church, and the other one was somewhere else. I think it was like a shopping mall or something, or whatnot, what have you, right? So again, like you said, we'll never have the actual numbers of how many guns people save because we don't report people that are living. We only report the people that die. So this is something that anti-gun, or not necessarily anti-gun, or people that aren't pro-gun use, because you can never prove how many people are living because they had a gun. I myself personally have had to. I own the firearm since I've been legally able to own one. I've only had to touch my gun twice. And in those 2 occasions, I touched my gun. I promise you, saved my life because the other person were reaching as if they had a firearm themselves. But being that I already had mine out.
Where do you live?
Well, I'm currently in Jacksonville, Florida, Duval, right. By the way. So
exactly. Okay, so that's the thing. That's the thing. In states like Florida, every state that has loosened their laws, that has encouraged everyone to have firearms, like Florida, we've seen the numbers go through the roof. And if you compare Florida to Massachusetts, you can compare Florida to Illinois, as bad as Chicago has been historically. Florida has much higher homicide levels. And you'll also have higher justified shootings. That's another challenge. If you ask any police chief, any police department, do they want less gun laws? They always say no, because it's so much harder for them to deal with a situation where everyone's armed. They might come in for a noise dispute. And if everyone got guns, it turns from, hey, I'm going to give you a ticket or turn the music down, to now I either got to shoot you or take you in. The other big problem is when you have states like that where they encourage the use of firearms, you have really terrible problems with stand your ground laws, where folks will shoot someone because they are afraid or they feel threatened. And that's not a life that I want to live. I don't know how it is in Duval for real. I'm not in Duval, but I'm going to tell you that I don't want to live a life where every altercation, every conflict, every discussion, I got to worry if someone's reaching for their gun or not. And in states like Florida, that's encouraged by the law. That's not encouraged by the law in places like Massachusetts and even New York and in New Jersey. And guess what? The numbers show it. New Jersey has a third of the violence that Florida does with the same level of poverty.
Okay, well, again, that's the thing, right? So first and foremost, the guns aren't shooting themselves; criminals are, right? So that's another important thing that we always seem to. Well, the gun, it's not the guns just doing it, right? Now, outside of course, I'm gonna bring it up. I got you, brother. I know where you're going. Self deletion, of course, that's a major issue and problem. But those people, if they're gonna do it that way, they'll find another way to do it, right? But what we're saying is we keep blaming the gun and not the people that are using the guns. How is it not true? What's not true?
Just let's talk about suicide real quick. So 92% of people who attempt suicide only try it once, and they typically get treatment. If they survive it, they never try again. Total regret. But think about the success rate of committing suicide with a shotgun to your face versus a bottle of pills. It's a whole different ball game, man. And so you can't say that like they're going to just find another way. Like, yes, people can find multiple ways to do that. But when you look at the actual success rate, firearms are undoubtedly the quickest way for folks to lose their lives. And that's why when you look at suicide levels, the highest number of suicide is in these rural states, a lot of red states with the lowest amount of firearm laws. That's where we're seeing the steepest suicide. And these are older white men that are taking themselves out at crazy level. I mean, older white men are wiping themselves out at a almost equally alarming rate as we're seeing interpersonal violence amongst young black men. But we don't want to talk about it again because it comes back to, well, the guns didn't do it. But no, like when a person's in crisis, it's a big difference between them having some Tylenol and having a shotgun. And when it comes back to crime, you talk about how criminals are going to do whatever. When you look at, there's a report that's done every year on black victimization and how gun violence plays out. In the 90s, you might have been right, Mr. Fantastic. But right now, only 11% of homicides by firearm are connected to gang activity. and only 29% are connected to another felony. So what we're seeing is over 2/3 of the violence that's happening is between people like me and you. We in a party, we in the club, we hollering at the same girl. Maybe you took my baby mama, you stepped on my shoe, you done this, you disrespected my cousin. That's what's fueling the violence. It's people who have interpersonal conflict and happen to be armed. It's not part of some big crime ring. And so like you are just as likely to get into an incident as someone that you see on an episode of Power, because that's how violence is playing out in our communities. We are not living in this organized crime land that the media is trying to portray. The violence is being fueled as everyday people with firearms that are getting into small petty disputes. That's what the statistics are showing.
Yeah, but no, well, DC specifically, and again, they just did the thing where they showed all the people that were arrested. I think 4 men individually, I discovered this yesterday, were arrested in the process of with narcotics with the intent to sell, right, by the imposition of firearms. Okay, so it's not just actually even using the firearms; it's having a firearm on you while already in another commission of another crime, right? So this is where we get to the point of where, yes, crime is the issue and the problem, and we want to keep running away from this. If you didn't have the children, okay, the men, the whoever that were carrying these guns, a lot of the times so illegally. We're not even talking about illegal gun possession, all right? And I'm not just saying because of strict gun laws or whatever, but felons, the number of felons that are caught with guns, that's an issue and a problem within itself. So the thing that we keep talking about here, right, is the guns are the issue. The guns are the issue.
Real quick on that piece, in March, Donald Trump signed an executive order to allow felons to regain their gun access. So even that piece is something Trump is trying to push. But go ahead.
Okay. Well, and that's a Supreme Court thing that just got, I think they heard that either last year or year before last. I understand that. But you still have to apply for that. And you have to get, it hasn't been approved yet. It's on and so forth. It's a push for people to get there. Once you've served your debts to society, right? And you've done what you're supposed to do and done the proper channels, I believe that's there, especially if it's like non-violent crime. Now, violent criminals, I think it may need to be some tweaks done to it because, that happens all the time. But outside of that, if you got a drug charge or whatever, and you have a felony for that or a felony for whatever, so on and so forth, I don't see why that should affect your ability to protect yourself and your Second Amendment rights. But the biggest issue and the problem still goes back to DC has been a focal point of violence, has his history of violence. And we can't just say Trump this, Trump that, Trump this, Trump that, when this was going on well before Trump was ever around. All right. Like I said, it just said last year, the numbers, DC had the highest numbers in 2023, I think it was, during Biden's thing, highest numbers, right, in the country, the nation's capital. So when Trump comes into the situation, because as you said, the mayor, not doing what they're supposed to do, the police chiefs and the police aren't doing what they're supposed to do. Well, we have this thing in the military called, hey, if you don't do your job, I'll do it for you. And when you have the higher ranking person step in and do it, you can't complain about the way they're doing it because you couldn't do the job you're supposed to do yourself. So look,
and I might agree with you on that. If Trump did not cut the budget by $1 billion, if he did not remove 40% of the local law enforcement, you can't kick somebody in the knees and then tell them run faster. You know what I mean? So I think you might have a good point as far as hey, they aren't getting it done. So the leadership had to step in, but he also at the same time is crippling their ability to do anything. And he's doing that for all of us. He's terminating resources left and right. You can't defund a team and then expect them to perform. And you also so I think you're falling to the trap of thinking that his logic is aligned with numbers. It's not. His logic is aligned with power. This is not about performance.
Well, he only got 3 years left. He can never be president again. So that's why I can't follow your power narrative. I
agree. He can't be president again. He won't even admit that.
So the power narrative doesn't fit because he only got 3 years left. Okay, but going back to the original point, right? Of course, I'm going to cut the budget if you've been wasting the money. You waste the money. But you clearly the $1 billion you had, you're not using it for the purposes that it's supposed to be used because we have the highest crime rate in the country. So we're wasting money and overspending in something that you're not properly assessing to where it needs to be, and it's not getting the product that we need. It's not getting the results that we want. So yes, I'm going to cut the budget right? Because you have a much higher budget, and DC is extremely, extremely small. What the hell does DC need more money than a New York City for? What does DC need more money than Atlanta for? What does DC need way more money than people that have much more population and, you know, much more to cover? So yeah, I don't see an issue and a problem with the point of, you know, cutting $1 billion. I didn't even know that police departments had $1 billion of budget. But you know, hey, it is what it is.
I mean, there's a lot I can go back in on, but what's the budget of Duval County
total?
Yeah,
I promise you, not $1 billion.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm just saying,
it's not $1 billion.
You act like $1 billion is like a small amount of money. You know what I mean? Like,
well, that's what I'm saying, though. I'm agreeing with you.
When you cut $1 billion, guess what that means? You got to shut down schools. You got to defund housing programs. You have to cut Medicaid and hospital resources. It's not just about a few less officers. $1 billion. That's a damn near third. It's a third of the budget has been wiped out. And you know, when that happens, social services are the first things to go. They gotta fund the essential services. So this is not just like a small trim of like, hey, you gotta, you know, maybe chip away at this, maybe have a little bit less, you know, polish on your windows. No, this is something that will devastate that you acknowledged, a Black-led and Black majority city. And to do that because you feel like they're not doing a good enough job with their strategy, like that is, I don't know why you even give Trump the credit to even understand their strategy. I mean, he barely wants to meet with the mayor, and he called her incompetent 1 week, and 2 weeks before that, he praised her for being brilliant and doing a great job. Like, this is not a logical, pragmatic approach of his that, hey, they aren't doing a good job. Let's cut the budget. Let's send in my people. No, man, this is about power, and I don't know how we don't see it other than listening to the words he's saying and trying to take them all for gold.
Nah, and my bad, I was wrong. Apparently, just checked it. Duval's budget is $2 billion. Yeah, but that means DC is probably like 5 or 6,
right?
And it's half the size. Duval is the largest geographical city in the country.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason our budget is so large is we also have to serve the entire federal government. Like, you realize that like we are in charge of managing everything that surrounds the White House.
Yeah,
you realize that, right? So like yeah, exactly. Go ahead, Hamp, if you want to.
Monuments and all that stuff. No, I understand it. That's what I'm saying. So monuments, all those things, DC, the beautification, buildings, and all this stuff, road work, and all this stuff. I understand that, but that's what I'm saying. So when you take away $1 billion, like I mean, cuts maybe need to be made. There are points in times where you need to cut the budget because there's overspending or there's wasteful spending that's being done. And I think DC was one of the hardest hit because that was one of the first places looked for Doge. Right.
But I think that's what we elect our city council and our mayors to do. We elect local officials to assess, is this a good use of our resources? How are we prioritized them? Where can we cut? Where can we salvage? Having Donald Trump flying from Mar-a-Lago and tell us that we ain't running it right is crazy. He doesn't know these communities. He hasn't driven through these communities. He's never even walked through these communities. He walks in the White House and he flies out. He didn't even eat in the city. So I think, again, you're taking a very logical you're applying a logical mindset to a scenario where you have someone who has not shown any type of those logical steps. And so I don't know. I mean, I think it'd be different. Like if the city was pushing it, if the city proposed it, it'd be different.
I just looked it up. So DC has a $19.7 billion budget as of 2024. I'm pretty sure y'all can make way with another 18.7 million, brother. I think y'all good to go. I think y'all good.
Okay, well, that's your opinion. I'll let that you know. If you think it's cool to cut resources for Black communities, man, that's on you, man. I mean, I can't debate that. I think Black cities need as many resources as possible to thrive, and I stand on that.
Yeah, man, 100%. I appreciate you guys' civil discourse for sure. I think we kind of glossed over one thing. And Greg, let me know how much time you got. You know what I mean? We be up here for a long time. But yeah, there's one thing that really stuck out to me, right? Is the fact that the gun violence affects our communities, right? That's how Black men are dying. So the number of deaths, how they come, where they come, the ratio is inconsequential to me. the fact that it is us dying, it needs to be addressed directly. And we're talking about gun violence, and that's the demographic. You know? So Mr. Fantastic, I understood the retort, but I don't think it was. Maybe you can help me break it down more to understand, right? Because I know there's 360 million people. Gun deaths are 30,000, and out of 30,000, how many of them are us?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It would still be what there are more, of course, Caucasian people that die from gun violence, even though we have a higher rate. Once you get to the actual numbers, it's still more white people. You combine everybody else. So the point of it still is you're gonna have losses regardless, right? It's never gonna be a utopia to where no one, commits crime and no one dies from anything, be it guns, knives, whatever. If we go from here, we go over, look over in London, England. Yeah, they don't have guns, but they definitely getting busy with them knives. So what I'm saying is, we can't vilify, and we're the last standing, 2A gun rights or whatever, country. And like he said, the most important part, and I want to definitely acknowledge Greg for saying this, the 2A rights isn't even for self-protection and so on and so forth. It's for what he's talking about, just so President Trump can become King Trump, right? This is for the people to be able to fight for our rights and deny the government access of an opportunity to forcibly take over the people. So I think when we look into that, and then you look at less than 1% of the people that are victims of gun violence, I mean, I can't, I can't accept just from a mathematical standpoint. Hamp, would you notice 0.0 of your check missing? You wouldn't even notice it. If we lose 1.01 of anything, you don't even notice that.
So let me just debunk that real quick. I think when you're talking about just deaths to population, that's one thing. But I had to dig this up. I wanted to make sure I was spot on. But in Rutgers, they did a study. They said 64% of Americans have experienced gun violence. So they may not be have killed or personally injured, but they either been exposed to it, threatened by it, or had to defend themselves from it. And so this is not something that's just like a small thing. Right now, 1 in 5 Americans know someone who's been shot or killed, black, white, brown, whatever. And so it's not a coincidence that we see this on the news so much. This is a very present issue to every American. I mean, this is, even when you poll Americans for the elections, the top 3 issues are typically the economy, education or climate, depending on who you talk to, and crime or violence. Like, this is a very present problem. So I don't know. I think you kind of brushing it off like, hey, it's just a few people and that some blood needs to be shed. I think that's really insensitive. And I also think that, like, we can't afford to just say that it is what it is. We're the ones getting wiped out. It's black men. It's young black folks that are getting wiped out. So for us to just say, hey, that's just it, that's the cost of doing business in America, that means accepting our folks getting wiped out. Like, this is intensely impacting us. And we have found, and cities have figured out how to solve this. Like Newark, New Jersey, they only have 8 homicides right now. And for us to even see those types of numbers and be like, wow, like last year, Boston went down 72%. Like, we know how to solve this crisis. This is not something that we should just accept as our reality. But guess what? If we don't want to accept the solutions and the policy and the resources that can change things, then it will be our reality. But right now, folks have stepped in, leaned in, and they are making this rare and non-existent in their communities. So for us to accept that that's how America is accepting real defeat that I don't think black folks can afford to take.
Well, no, and I'll just say this, then we move forward. As Hamp said, crime is as low as it's ever been, right? Overall, right? So we can't say and talk about this as big issue and problem when we're talking about DC. If we compare DC from the 80s and 90s to now, again, like I said, we have to look at it this way because it's a reality. It's not me just accepting and so on and so forth and being insensitive. It's me being a realist. That's why I said what I said. There's never going to be a utopic society to where no one dies, where no one commits crime, where no one does anything. Again, that's why I gave the example of UK. They've had mass, stabbings in other countries and so on and so forth. If you do not have guns, evil people will find a way to hurt people. So, and I just think that it's convenient and it's easy to blame the gun when it's not the gun. No gun is a real life damn Megatron from the Transformers. Guns don't just get up and create feet and shoot people. People do it. So we have to hold those people accountable, all right? And we have to talk about the people that are doing evil things with guns and not just the guns.
So there's one thing though I do kind of see, Mr. Fantastic, living in Texas, right? Road rage is different because everybody is strapped. Everybody does have a gun. You seen the New Orleans football player that got killed, didn't he? Was it? I forget his name. Damn. But you know, because there's so many guns in these areas from people who can legally carry. So I see situations that normally don't escalate will absolutely escalate because people have guns. During the hurricane, when there was no gas, you seen people's fever pitch hit, and then guns get flashed, guns get pulled. So I see that as a slight issue. But I guess, you know, those are legally carrying people. Now, the one thing that this argument also kind of defeats a little bit, and let me know what you think, well, all three of you think, is this black fatigue shit, right? Because if we're saying the crime, the gun violence is so minuscule, right? But then we turn around and we hear black fatigue about all the crime that's happening around us from young black boys, right? That doesn't reconcile with saying it's not enough people dying from gun violence and etc. Right, those two things don't actually go together, right? It would have to be an issue with the gun violence, and then you can say black fatigue. But if you're saying it's minimal, but then I'm fatigued from black people, that's a contradictory statement. So it's convenient now. That's problematic for me when I hear it. That was for anybody. I was just
okay. I'll hop in. Oh, go ahead, Aaron. You got it.
No. I was going to Mr. Jackson or you. I mean, whatever.
Go ahead, Mr. Fidel.
Yeah. So now I would say it's still is you have to compartmentalize, right? So of course, like I said, even though it's 30,000 deaths overall, we have to look at as Greg said, okay, not being sensitive and take into matter, especially we're talking about the violent aspect of it. Who are the victims? Now, you know, it was just grown people getting, you know, deleted and whatnot, what have you. I don't think it would be much of a care, but when we have young toddlers, 3-year-olds and children and infants and old ladies that are victims of people that are just indiscriminately, you know, shooting wherever. HAMP, you just covered the thing in Philly, right? Just, you know, move it away from DC to where, you know, you have these kids out here in child. The Greg, we talk about the switches thing to where these boys that can't even shoot a regular firearm is now turning at something that wasn't intended to be a machine gun into a handheld machine gun. Yeah, you're going to have major issues and problems. So when the majority of the people that are involved in these activities are young black men, well, it's fair to say, because you're only assessing the criminal aspect of the gun usage and the innocent bystanders and fallout of it, you know what I'm saying, versus just even the intended target. So that's why I think I agree with you on the part from, if we're talking about as a whole, 30,000 isn't a thing. But if we're trying to decrease the 30,000 to the lowest amount of numbers we can actually get it to, then we have to look at the perpetrators. And that's when it becomes a thing. And also, this isn't just an outside of the race thing. A lot of DC people are saying they're in love with this. They love it. They like it because they feel safe. They don't have to worry about these things and so on and so forth. So when we look at even what black people are saying about it, you know, forget all the white people and so on and so forth. I think it has merit and it has, you know, has weight to it.
Okay, yeah. And so I'm not living there anymore. That's why I thought it was uberly important. And then Greg is also involved. You know, I see the businesses suffering. That's one thing I do know. You know, like I'll be back in DC in a month or so, and the businesses, the club owners, the lounges, the restaurants, I know a whole bunch of them from being in that industry. They are suffering when since this has happened. You know, but go ahead, Greg and Big Aaron.
Go ahead, Aaron. I'll come back to you.
Yeah. So this is why kind of at the top of the show, I had mentioned that one of my most important metrics is collateral damage, right? What's the percentage of collateral damage we're currently looking at? What direction is it heading? If it is changing, and to whom is it affecting? As a student of war, I've fully accepted and I'm acutely aware of the fact that bodies are going to hit the floor. Right. It's just which ones are intentional, which ones aren't. And of those, which ones are most impactful. Right. So, yeah, switches being found on Glocks in the hands of men who couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a shotgun is unacceptable. Right. But I mean, people that you live by the sword, die by the sword, and your day comes up, your day is up, son, right? Even if at that particular moment you weren't the direct perpetrator or antagonist of the situation, the fact that you allow yourself to be in close enough proximity and you get taken out, I don't think that's necessarily worth, cutting back on the fight against the actual antagonist. Distance yourself from danger as much as possible. The further away you are, the less chance of you being collateral damage is. But if we're mowing down kids at the playground, and grandmom's under an umbrella, I mean, that has to stop.
Yeah, and I think what's important to remember, like Trump is encouraging all of this. And I know people don't like to hear it, but like last week, the ATF decided they're not going to enforce their bans on machine gun conversion devices, which we just talked about, Glock switches. They said they're not going to enforce it. And they actually started sending back all these devices back to the people they confiscated them from. Like Trump's son is on the board of Grab a Gun. He was literally a month and a half ago at the New York Stock Exchange celebrating the largest company of selling guns, which he wants to call the Amazon for guns. Like they are actively pushing firearms into the hands of as many Americans as possible. Even DC, they just shrunk the concealed carry process to go from months waiting list to like days waiting list. They want us to have as many guns as possible because they know they can profit from it. They know it's a narrative they can win. And it also creates a space where they can justify a bunch of these terrible situations. And what we know is that statistically, it does not make us safer. And I mean, every single state that has followed that same playbook that Trump's trying to push now have become more dangerous. And I hate to say that, but that's just simple math. And I think the last piece about the perpetrators, Mr. Fantastic talked about, we got to think about the perpetrators. Well, that's exactly what we were trying to do before. We were investing in youth-based violence prevention work, mental health resources for at-risk youth, working with families that lost someone so they don't retaliate, sitting bedside in hospitals with people who, after they got shot, to make sure they don't go back out there and shoot someone else. Those are what the dollars were invested in during the Biden administration, and that's the programs that Trump defunded. He even defunded law enforcement's crime gun intelligence centers across the country. He don't even want them to have better technology to track guns before they get into our communities. He terminated all these grants. And so we have a president who literally does not believe that policy can do it, doesn't believe that regulations can do it, doesn't believe that investing in community and investing in our young folks can change it. He believes that the way we solve this problem is law and order, crackheads, stop and frisk, go get them, jump out. And he's doing that in DC. And I think we cannot be misled to think this is about making us safer. And frankly, we're just replaying the same playbook they did in the 90s after the war on crime, right? When they incarcerated us at historic levels. That playbook is being played out right now in front of our eyes in DC. And I think we have a moment to push back before it's something that he pushes nationwide.
Do you think that the innocent people that are stopped and frisked, I mean, are they perishing at a rate that you would suggest it's worth stopping and frisking from catching the actual bad guys? Like, is there a benefit from more aggressive policing and actually locating, closing with, and destroying the actual internal enemy?
Look, statistics, we've already tried it out. We tried it in the 90s. We saw what happened. You don't end violence, you deter it. And what you do is you incarcerate Black folks at historic levels. And so if we think the perceived, if we think the feeling of fear or the feeling of safety is worth devastating Black families all over this earth, then we're just accepting this fear of Black folks as what we're trying to eradicate and not actually solve crime. I mean, so look, my answer is no. We've already played that out. We've already seen that movie. It failed. It destroyed Black communities at historic levels. And now we're in a different era where we have a different playbook that invests in our communities that is actually outperforming crime reduction in the 90s. And we don't have to lock folks up in doing it. So my answer is no, it wouldn't work. But I'm sure other folks have different opinions.
What do you think law enforcement could do then in order to reduce the amount of crime that does exist. I mean, I understand that, you know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And going forward, there may be an easily outlinable plan to prevent things from happening and growing. But for the here and now, how would you propose at least law enforcement would be able to safely use force to eliminate that which has already been, you know, identified as a bad guy?
It's simple. You just go upstream. You got to get to the source. Like, you can't just crack down on every teenager who found a handgun, right? Like, yes, we need to work on shifting their behavior, but how did the guns get there in the first place? And so I think that's how law enforcement should focus. That's what we were pushing the last few years. That's where we saw tremendous positive results. But like crime gun intelligence to trace guns after a shooting on where it came from, where the others come from, is typically very predictable. If you can find one gun store that's illegally selling guns or pushing them on the side, then they typically have been doing that for multiple people who've caused multiple crimes. So when you get upstream, you can see a direct disruption. When you disrupt trafficking, the trafficking network, frankly, that reduces the likelihood of firearms showing up in our communities. When you also shut down these companies that are creating Glock switches, right? Like the team that's shut down who's creating Glock switches, that was defunded by Trump as well. But we got to figure out all these things that are popping up in our neighborhood, how are we holding them accountable, and what are we doing upstream to stop them from getting there in the first place while we do the behavior change work with our youth?
Well, yeah, well, that wouldn't be something that he could stop on this side, because the majority of the Glock switches are produced outside of the U.S. They aren't there, and that's how they catch a lot of the people, is it being shipped in to see who it was. I think this dude, it was either earlier this year or late last year, he got caught with like 40 of them getting mailed to his house and so on and so forth. So even that, the ATF is responsible for shutting down illegal ways that those are being sold. So when I was there in the Biden administration, the ATF actually shut down 350 websites that were online selling these Glock switches. They were designed, camouflage them as like keychains and bottle openers, but we knew they were Glock switches. But we had a team that was in charge of disrupting those online sales. That team was defunded. That's what I'm saying. That's what the whole purpose of the ATF. They are focused on how do you keep these illegal guns from pouring into our neighborhoods, and that he has directly been under attack of that agency. He removed the director. There's only an active director now. He's trying to merge them with the DEA, and he defunded them.
Well, I think that would require a workaround, because at that level, you're also stopping or slowing down the amount of guns that are available to neighborhoods that they actually want to have their hands on these guns, right? I think that kind of, based on their intentions, you end up throwing the baby out with the bathwater, so they would never let that happen. But how do we, at a more local level, right, kind of gain control of the influx of guns in a way that circumvents the federal interest in letting guns into the country just where they want them to be? Because that's what they're doing. They're bringing them in, letting them go to where they want them to go, and the places they don't want them to go, they're going in there with hammers. So how can we replace the hammer in the neighborhood where the guns are going and having an adverse effect?
Yeah. Man, this is, and the guns is the focus, right? And that's one of Greg's, and I'm saying one of his specialties,
Yeah.
But I'm just looking at it like, do you guys agree? Well, excuse me. The sentiment is that black neighborhoods are over policed already. Do you guys agree with that sentiment?
I would say improperly policed. I think we would need more police if their primary interests were the well-being of the neighborhood, and if the police were members of the neighborhood that had to sleep in the neighborhood, were from the neighborhood, right? That kind of policing I'm all for increasing, but the policing that's made available, I don't think it's a conflict of interest.
Okay, so you're saying people aren't policing their own neighborhoods.
Exactly.
I agree with that. I guess the sentiment is that they're over policed. So if you were to be asked that question, Aaron, for the majority to understand, would you say yes or no?
Yeah, over policed by the people that are currently policing them, which are not interested in their best interest.
Okay. Greg, you had a thought on that? Like, are black neighborhoods over policed? Because that's the sentiment. You see that verbiage a lot. So that's what I'm asking about specifically.
I'm a torn on this one. I think my mindset is what problem are we trying to solve? If we're trying to reduce violence, there are way more impactful strategies. You don't prevent violence by having an officer sit right there. You just deter it. You know, no one's going to, if they hot and they about to go shoot somebody, they're just going to wait for the officer to leave, right? So you're not preventing the conflict. You're just deterring it. And if the goal is to reduce violence and reduce violent crime, then I think we have to get in the prevention mode. And prevention mode is investing in community resources, investing in at-risk programs, and investing in housing and economic opportunity. And so I think about my neighborhood, you know, the public housing, they don't even have AC in the building, right? Our street has potholes. The electric wires are dangling over the sidewalk. And so when you see so much dysfunction and lack of resources, but then you see 5 police cars coming up the street, you know, it's not necessarily over policing. It's like we are under resourced in these communities altogether, and then we expect police to be the Band-Aid.
Okay, so you're saying, do you think there's a larger police presence in black neighborhoods?
Definitely.
Okay. But the issues don't get solved by us seeing the blue lights, right? The issue gets solved by, like what you're saying, like repairing the area, the comfort to the residents, the quality of life and living is an actual correction.
Yeah, I think that's it. I mean, you know, whenever every shooting, no matter how you look at it, it's a person in a moment of crisis and they got a firearm, whether they're trying to harm themselves, harm someone else, they in a moment of crisis. And there's ways to reduce the likelihood of that moment of crisis. If you know you got a home to go back to and kids to take care of, you're not going to risk it all for this moment. You know, if you know you have air conditioning inside and everything is all love inside, you're not going to risk it all for this moment. If you have a job that you love and you're growing and you're advancing in, you're not going to risk it all for this moment. But right now we have communities that have become powder kegs because they don't have the resources and supports they need. So you have people on edge, they in financial struggles, they in housing struggles, they got interpersonal drama, and then you put a firearm on their hip, right? And you throw them in the middle of situations, like they're going to act very differently than someone who has a lot to lose. And I think that's kind of the bigger problem is how do we give people resources to help offset what's bringing them to that moment of crisis? But right now we're not doing that. We're just saying, oh, y'all crazy, you know, and that's our government approach. And I think that's a broken approach.
Okay. Desperation plus poverty equals crime for sure. Okay. I understand that sentiment. What say you, Mr. Fantastic?
Y'all know where I'm going with this, man. Listen, the police wouldn't be there if you didn't give them a reason to be there. There are plenty of black communities that are not over policed, that don't have a huge police presence because there's not criminal activity going there. Unfortunately, we have a lot of criminal activity in a lot of these black communities. Again, DC is the epitome of it historically. Okay. When you start looking at these things and just accepting that reality, and the point in the matter is we have more boys and girls clubs and youth centers and all these things than we ever had when we were growing up, and yet what's happening? So this budget and the budgeting has increased greatly from what it was 20-30 years ago. So I don't think we're dependent on the government to do something that the parents should be doing. Again, this is a at home issue. Why are your children out committing crimes at 2-3 in the morning and they're in middle school? There's no way that your 13-year-old should have a gun in the first place and you not know it. Okay. My son would never. All right. Okay. And I have plenty of guns. Okay. He knows not to even look at a gun unless I give him authority to use it properly and for training purposes and so on and so forth. All right. God forbid, someone breaks in the house and he has to use an emergency situation. But, outside of that, I'm not giving him authority to do so. We keep trying to place the blame on everyone, but the blame who should be placed on. Criminals are the problem, not the guns, not the government, not the budget, not the whatever. It's the criminals. Okay. No criminals equal no police for the most part. Now you're going to have some police every now and again. But again, the exception is not the rule. For the most part, police are not going to be somewhere patrolling to where there's nothing to patrol. So if we start fixing this thing at our level, okay, we will have a tremendous overhaul of the issues and problems we're having with policing, crime, and everything else. If we just had these people raise their children and give a damn about the kids they're having versus just letting them roam the streets and do God knows what, and then blame the police when the police lock their little badasses up.
So you agree with Greg then?
I mean, he said he was torn. I mean, I think we definitely agree on a lot of things. But yeah, if you are not committing crimes, I mean, what are we doing? And then, like I said, the only thing I don't agree with is, and I understand it from his position and his experience in his career, right? He would see the budgeting and how these different things. And I'm not saying that doesn't have any credence, but I think there's a much more root issue to when we look at it beyond the budget, because money or not, okay, you deciding to go rob somebody, I don't give a damn how many billions of dollars being approved for the budget. A criminal is going to be a criminal. He's not going to care. The kid that wants to be out here and rob other people or gang bang or whatever, he's not going to care. And they've actually had situations to where, you know, you had midnight basketball and things like that, to where the kids that were stopped, you know, doing the purpose of it, had it ruined by still little badass criminal kids that wanted to shoot something up. So unfortunately, we're going to always have bad apples. I think, again, that's not a acceptance or dismissal of Black life being lost and people being harmed, but I think it's reality. That's literally what it is. And you have to hit those bad apples extremely hard. You have to isolate them, remove them, and get them out of the way so they don't influence other children, right?
Yeah. Do you think the bad apples are more or less of the kids?
Clearly less, clearly, but there's a reason why we and people stop saying it. I think we need to bring it back. One bad apple spoils a bunch. Okay, one bad apple can spoil a whole bunch of good ones, but you can never put a good apple in a whole bunch of bad ones and they become good.
No, 100%. I'm just looking at it, right? When we look at this, I don't have a better term. So the martial law, right? But I guess before Greg got up here, we were saying that, you know, we acceptable losses. So in order to find the bad apples, you have to expose the good ones. Right? You have to imprison, arrest, accost the good ones. And I don't know if people understand this, but being subject to being in handcuffs, being in the back of a police car, being in a jail, right? Being confined, going through arraignment, being put on a bracelet. I don't know if we understand what that does to a psyche of a person. And I'm just not sure if the acceptable loss that happens when you police in this way is just going to blow over how we think it is. And I don't have a good way to do it, but the trauma is going to be real. But I was just saying that you agree in terms of it starts at the home. It starts with prevention programs. It starts with opportunities, you know, because by the time police get there, they're reacting to something that already happened.
Yeah, you know? I agree with the home aspect of it, but the opportunity, somewhat is I'm 50-50 on that, because like I say, I've been in situations and I've seen situations where you had the good kids doing their thing, and then you have the bad kids coming there and try to ruin everything, right? There's stories of it, unfortunately, right? So I think if the parents are the most important underlying issue and training their children to be good people, I think that's the biggest thing.
Yeah, I understand. Yeah. Go ahead, Greg. Go ahead.
Nah, I mean, I'm just really having a hard time hearing this, because, you know, I was one of those kids that you might call a bad apple, you know, because I joked around in class. If you came at me, I'll fight you. You know what I mean? Like that was me as a kid. And if Mr. Fantastic was in charge where I grew up, I might be one of those ones incarcerated. But, you know, and I actually been in handcuffs 5 times, right? Like for random reasons, not even because I'm out here causing crime. For one time I was walking home from class with my backpack and I went to a PWI. They thought I didn't go to school there, threw me in cuffs. Another time I was in a tuxedo leaving an event. They said, "What are you doing here? We heard some noise complaints," threw me in cuffs. Right? Like, it's none of that made me a better person or made me a better leader or made me a more innocent or shift my behavior. What changed me was my coach Rogers from my basketball team, my family that wrapped around me during those hard times. You know, my cousins down the street that showed love whenever I need some support. Like, it was community that helped me become great. And, you know, it wasn't law enforcement cracking down on me. And I'm someone who went literally from rural poverty to serving as special assistant to the president of the White House. And I just think that mentality that you have that, hey, it's all just bad apples, we got to crack their heads, is really dangerous, because we're giving up on so many of our young Black folks who have so much potential, but we're not even giving them a chance. We're just throwing them away before we've even done a good enough job to give them the support they need to become great. And yes, if we wait until they shoot up a party, it's too late. But all I'm saying is we can't just accept the losses. We got to pour and invest in our folks. And when we do, it works. When we do, it works. And I think I'm a living example. I imagine some other people on this screen are, or at least listening are too. And so it's just heartbreaking to hear you say that, man.
Hey man, I live in reality, unfortunately, brother. Again,
Let me say this before you go. I swear, I used to do. Greg has context, right? But Anacostia High School, right? Zoo, right? And I hate to say it like that, but I just want y'all to understand, you know. And if you came there with me, Kelly Miller Middle School, all right? If you came there with me, you would see, and I know you would see, like, yo, it's beyond the parents. It's so much shit going on to these kids, right? And they are in these environments in which they cannot control, you know? The kid didn't put themselves there. The parent did. We get that, you know? But now what, right? And you get to see the now what when you're trying to actually intervene. And I promise you would see it if you subjected yourself to, one, the metal detector, right? It's just going through at a middle school, you know? And then in the classroom with these kids, you could see that, yo, it's beyond their parents, you know. And we all had somebody that was, as they climbed, lifted us up, that got us out of a jam, that gave us a pass, right? There's times you should have been troubled, but they didn't trouble you, you know. And then what you did with that opportunity, you know what I mean? It's so much more than what we wanted to. Because it'd be easier if it was only the parents, right? But the village to raise a child thing still holds firm. And we see in the communities that we always tout, they have families and a dollar stays in their community. And it's a community that has the same prescriptions raising all the kids too. You know, so it's a lot. But I understand what you're saying, but it's a whole lot more beyond mommy and daddy for sure. Damn, man. Hey, Greg, man, I know you got to get up out of here. I appreciate you hanging out with us wholeheartedly, good brother.
Yeah, man,
thank you for the time. Bro. Yeah, go ahead. Talk your shit.
No, it's fun. I appreciate y'all, man. I appreciate y'all having me. Thanks, Hamp. Thanks, Big Aaron. Thanks, Mr. Fantastic. This was a good exchange. And look, I think the reality is, like, all of us are concerned about our safety, and that's really important. I think if we can just figure out ways to see the problems and see the solutions, and not just keep patching band-aids, you know, like what we're seeing right now, I think we can get out of this muck, man. And again, if folks don't believe it or don't have faith, we have real communities that are doing it. Like Baltimore's doing it, Oakland's doing it, New Jersey's doing it. Like, it's happening. It's a reality that we can be young, Black, free, you know, and free from violence. It's not an idea or a miracle. And so I just appreciate y'all having this conversation. So happy to be here. I'm gonna keep fighting, keep pushing. Y'all can follow me at The Action Jackson on Instagram.
I dropped the link on the Instagram. I also pinned it to the top of the chat. Like I said, Greg is making actual moves, actual strides, right? He putting his money where his mouth is. You know what I mean? I've seen it in real time, right? He being humble by telling us his backstory, you know? So I'm dropping a link. I'm gonna pin it to the top of the chat as well for his Instagram. And please go follow, right? It's information. You know, we come to the internet largely for information. There's a side of the story that Greg tells consistently. You know, you get a real, actual story recorded in real time picture of the police not dressed like police with a bunch of Black boys sitting on the curb, right? And the imagery matters, which is why if it bleeds, it leads, right? You ever heard that for the news? You know, so similarly, just the pictures, man, it impacts you differently, especially when Greg was driving and I knew what block he was on. You know what I'm saying? So, damn, man. Hey, Greg, man, I'm proud of you, bro. Keep grinding. Thank you for the conversation and the information. And hopefully in the next hour, we continue to push this conversation forward.
Thanks, man. Peace.
Be safe.
Perfect.
Greg. Yo, salute, man. Salute Greg Jackson in the building. I'm gonna drop his Instagram, man. We're gonna pin it to the top. Please go like, share, and subscribe to him on Instagram. I'm gonna read these super chats. Let me bring my brothers up real quick. KG, what up? What's good? Let me read these real quick, and then we'll get it popping. Let me see. Did I read this one? Joe with the says, this isn't about stopping crime. DC is heavily Democratic city, and Trump is just trying to Republicanize it. Memphis and Little Rock have worse crime than DC, but nobody is being sent there. Sean with the $5 says, Newark has 30 homicides. Dude said 8. Can't take him serious no more, exclamation point. He just lied. Democrats, I tell you. Joel with the $10 says, can someone explain to me why DC Mayor Mario Bowser requested the National Guard to the Capitol on January 6, 2021 for the insurrection, but Trump denied that request? Sean Brewer with the $5 says, from Sean, New York has the strictest gun laws, but they shooting more than anybody. Tarus with been a member for 17 months says Mississippi, Alabama, Louisiana, and Arkansas are consistently ranked as having the highest firearm mortality rate in the country. Vet with the $5 says, salute to the panel and HAMP. Salute, my brother. Fantastic. Our budget in Duval is $2 billion. John Barry with the $2. It's blacks killing the blacks. What the fuck? Harrison Dave. Let me mute KG real quick. Harrison Davis with the $5 says, salute, my brother. Good to see you. Sean Antonio with the $10 says, so good to hear someone else say proactive investment in the communities is the answer. Policing is only reactive. Tarus with the $10 says, we don't invest in the area, take away funding, then think consequences will balance out by increasing the police force. Rarely do we try to invest in the area with the same urgency we police. Will with the $20 says the CDC reports that automotive accidents cause 44,000 deaths annually from unintentional injuries. If we don't ban cars despite these deaths, what justifies different treatment for firearms with similar mortality rates? Sean with the $10 says they've been funding these places for years, programs for years, and stuff got worse. Parenting is the first place to start. All the safe places get destroyed by niggas. Hate when people start to be dishonest. Sean with the $10 says, exactly, exclamation point. Now, what is the conversation? Ellipsis. Not what should be. As men, as the leaders, as the protectors, as the problem solvers, now what? Talking points and shaming baby mamas won't solve this. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend, hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. KG, what up, Op?
What's going on, Op? I'm at work right now, but I work at the Navy Yard where all these teen takeovers is going on. It needed to be done. Like 100 kids going crazy, slapping up, beating up white folks, carjackings, 1,000 carjackings during the summer. 2 months. 1,000.
Fantastic.
So it needed to be done.
Okay, so you fuck with it.
And I'm sorry to say it because it was nothing. These kids don't respect no authority.
Damn, so
they
you're
don't
saying
even want
needed
9-to-5 jobs. They rather rob and steal. And my homeboy works at Cheltenham with juveniles. And they don't even, they sit there. It's like they still go to school and play PlayStation 5. So it's not like they're in there for murder. And they're playing PS5 in jail.
Okay. So, KG, can you hear me?
So,
can you hear?
It needed to be done.
I don't think he can hear you. Hey, KG, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
I don't think you can hear HAMP. Say something, HAMP. I don't think you can hear HAMP. You can't hear HAMP for some reason.
No, I can't hear HAMP for some reason.
Yeah.
All right. I asked, so he's saying he needs. All right. Yeah, I want to ask him a couple questions. Let me get Will real quick. Will, what's goody? Tommy, what up?
Salutations. Good afternoon. How y'all doing?
What's poppin'?
Same old, man. This was a good conversation because it pretty much exposes everything that is the problem with the left and the Democratic Party, that they're too lax on crime, especially when you look back in 2022 when Joe Biden's White House representative came up there and they announced that they was reducing the maximum sentence on deletions, on grapers, on robbers, on carjackers, on everything. And now you have a whole bunch of the left Democratic black people out there on the streets protesting, saying that cracking down on crime is the escalation of the problem. What if the black people was paying attention to their 14-year-old kids instead of them being out here kicking doors in and taking things from people and committing crimes? They wouldn't be charged as adults. Just because you want the crime to be resolved and you want to let it flourish, that's counterintuitive to the self. So respect to the brother, what's his name, Greg, respect to the brother Greg, but what he was up here talking about, you're talking about a trauma that has been going on for quite some time. It is a lack of responsibility on the parents, and them kids in DC is getting what they deserve because the black people in the communities in those cities have not done anything to solve their own problem. They have let this go on for too long.
Damn. Okay. Does anybody have a retort to what my brother Willie Will said? Well, KG, you said you like the military policing, huh?
Hey, yo, I don't really like how Esau. I can't even agree with Esau, but I cannot. How can I be mad if it's needed? I can't even if I'm seeing my people acting crazy. Like it's literally crazy out here. I'm not gonna lie to you.
Yeah, I was down on, and it's just to see, what y'all think. I was down on U Street on Thursday, right when we had the events. You was on a cruise, right?
Yeah.
And so, Will, U Street on a Thursday, right? Just to give you perspective, you cannot. They cut the road off where the clubs start because you can't walk. You know what I'm saying? It's that many people out there. I mean, flooded, right? You know what I'm saying? It got 60 bars on the street. Yo, it was like a ghost town comparatively. And so I'm talking to the bouncer outside. He's like, yo, the pods of kids, 10, 20 deep, drinking on the street, robbing people. People don't even come to U Street no more because of this. It was so, I'm telling that, because we had the meet up, right? I'm telling everybody, yo, watch when we get out there. Bro, there was parking, all types of shit you never see. And the bouncer said it was because of the kids, the mobbing, the YNs mobbing around and just doing shit.
Well, it should be that way, similar to downtown Detroit and Greektown, right? It's old school Belle Isle, even on the Riverwalk days. The problem is that, yes, it is bad for optics for police and law enforcement to be out there snatching up people and all this, that, and the other. I get it. But at the same time, if you're just going to let the cut bleed and you're not going to heal the cut, what's the point of complaining about the blood? They're the ones in those communities that they knew that they 14, 16, 18-year-old kids was out here running the streets 12 o'clock at night, 1 o'clock in the morning, kicking in doors, assaulting store owners, snatching purses from women, taking women's innocence and assaulting children, all this, that, and the other. But no one did nothing about it. And when you actually look at the real crime reports that's actually being reported, you find that people want them to be lax in those black communities because they say, oh, well, they just need love. Love ain't solving it, because if love is what was available, they would have got it at home. But because these parents is being lax on their children and they just want to say, oh, well, he's just acting out. Respect to the brother again. He said, yeah, back in my younger days, I used to be the joke in class. A joke in class and committing a crime is two different things. So why are we assigning the same responsibility to that accountability? That doesn't make sense. And until we get away from this notion that the black people just need love, no, black people need accountability. People need to get off the street, go back home, take care of their kids, go to work, get off of welfare, and do your job. And it's just that simple.
I don't think
because if you don't do your job, someone else is going to do it for you.
I really don't think it has to do with poverty either, because you know how DC is. We got the most people making $100,000, and their kids are doing the same damn thing, going into the hood, doing the same damn thing. Now, I was in the house. My mom makes $200,000 a year. I was still out on the streets and shootouts going on, and people living in $400,000 houses. So it has nothing to do with poverty.
AKG, watch this. Let's narrow it down. If the neighborhood ain't the problem and the poverty ain't the problem, then what's the problem?
Okay, so let me say this. I'm interested to hear the conversation, right? Because I'm listening to what y'all saying, what KG saying. So I don't know if you guys ever heard of Wise High School, maybe not. But Wise High School was really, really good in football. You know the boy who died? He played for the Vikings. Remember he got in a car crash and he died? Him and the two guys who were in the car with him. Well, he comes from Wise High School. I think he was a first round pick. The two boys that were in the car with him, they played Division One, played at Florida State. They have a lot of good football players, essentially. They had to put, and so Wise is in Upper Marlboro. This is where black people have the money. This is where the $1 million houses are, right? They had to put metal detectors in Wise High School. And Wise is not in the city. And those kids are affluent in terms of their background. Now, they didn't have to do that at Flowers, the one that I coached at. And they're maybe 15 minutes apart, 20 minutes apart. And they did it because there was a high-risk incident that happened, so it's more reactive to that one incident. But the behavior was there. I'll say that. I'm not saying that is the still man, but I'm just looking at it. Will, before you go, I just want to see if Tommy had anything maybe different, and then you could jump back in. Tommy, what's goody?
What's happening, y'all? No, I'd be lightweight, kind of split in the middle with a lot of it. Part of it is so I sent you to your inbox. This was like a couple months ago, but they actually have two surprise Democratic black mayors. I think it's Baltimore and Birmingham, and they've actually did what a lot of people were suggesting as far as like giving the kids something to do, et cetera, et cetera. And I believe Baltimore, I think they murder rate is sliced 50%, or Birmingham, one or two, but it's like a
62%.
major, yeah.
Baltimore, yeah.
So you have places where you see that it works. Even when people are talking about like the extracurricular activities, like I don't remember a time where the Boys and Girls Club was just getting overran by niggas from the streets. Like in general, I actually got kicked out the Boys and Girls Club because I had a fight. Like in general, people aren't going to the Boys and Girls Club, and it's just not safe for them to go there.
So you're okay. Go ahead. He broke up.
This is like that wasn't specific for kids, say like skating rinks and shit like that, where shit ended up happening. But it's usually because the adults come in and they have their issues and stuff. But for the most part, and I could be wrong, y'all could correct me. I don't just hear this plethora of places for kids to go, and then it's just being overwhelmed by these thug kids who's just taking them over, et cetera, et cetera. Again, you can correct me if I'm wrong. But I think we deal with I think it's kind of like multi-layered. Oh shit. I think it's kind of like multi-layered what we're dealing with, because in one instinct, I think you have a government that kind of I almost want to say like wants this to happen. Am I so good?
Yeah.
Yeah, you good. Did he drop out? He dropped out. He just dropped out, didn't he? Or am I tripping? He dropped out. So now I'll say this. Of course, yeah, we aren't saying en masse to where kids are being overrun, but it definitely happens. There have been stories of midnight basketball being shot up, right? People talking about the situations. So I'm not saying the that's the norm, but it does happen. And then, like you said too, I can look around here. A lot of these youth centers, these rec centers, these kids don't even hoop no more, man. These kids are interested in the opportunities that are there for them, absolutely free. So if the kids aren't using the things, or the parents aren't encouraging or forcing the children to get involved with the things, what's the point in even having it if it's not being utilized? And that's when he started talking about the budget cuts. Okay, if we got 18 rec centers and let's say 5 of the 18 it has no attendance, has no whatever, that's wasting money keeping it open. That's just like people complaining about food deserts and all this other shit. You can't complain about some shit when Walmart say we're done, or Walgreens says they're done, and you're stealing them out of business. Niggas love doing this shit. So again, until we get a handle on ourselves and police ourselves and raise the kids and get the actual community we talking about and enforce the shit ourselves, then we gotta until we do that, we can't worry about what we're allowing and forcing the police to do, because we won't fucking do it. Point blank, period.
So
I guess my question is, Tommy, you could jump back in. I know you dropped off, but Tommy gave an example of a city that is known for violence implementing programs and seeing a result.
Yeah. So we had to wait on that because DC did the same thing, right? So DC, so the numbers, and it was just explaining the DC situation. A police commander in DC is now under investigation right now, right, for the DC's violent crime being reduced by 25%. I would be highly, highly unlikely. Listen, cutting your violent crime by 50%. That something doesn't smell right there, and the fact of the matter that DC is being pretty much exposed to that very exact same thing, to where the what you call the police what do police have, the police not the commission but the when people get in trouble, the police union, the police union even came out and said, hey man, nah, that's highly unlikely. So I think a lot of this is a lot of dirty politics. Also, they want to make it seem like they have things under wraps, even though, like you said, it's quite coincidental that you have a 50% decrease in violent crime right before or right as Trump takes over. But you were just, you know what I'm saying, going up and sky high as long as Biden was there. Okay, you can easily set this up to be like, oh, he's getting involved in things he doesn't need because we already got it under wraps. When if you if you cook the books. So you guys can look into that, Google it, don't take my word for it. Again, there's literally investigation going on right now for them being able to classify and qualify offense as one thing, as to where it won't be accepted or reported by the FBI crime statistics, or the MPD's got to report it. So that's what I'm saying.
But if you're doing that on crime, that's one thing. If you're doing that on bodies, how do you misrepresent bodies? They either there or they not.
Well, the dude just said the same thing, right? And unfortunately, you talking about Baltimore, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't know if they redoing the wire thing and hiding the bodies. I don't know, but somebody said the super chat. Greg, I'm not saying he maliciously did it or purposely did it. He definitely underreported because I didn't have the data and I didn't go to look it up. He said 8 homicides for New Jersey when it's 30. So by his account, he reported less than 50%. There's like what, a 60%, almost 75% decrease in the actuality and the reality of it. So unless we're actually there and seeing what's going on or whatever, during investigations and when they decide to report something, can be totally different. So that's what I'm saying. I just don't trust 50% decrease in homicides for especially a city like Baltimore in any way, shape, form, or fashion, bro. I don't trust that shit.
I think my overall question would be like, what's the goal? And I say that because I get frustrated when I hear people from my generation speak about this generation as if they're worse. And it's just factually untrue. We've improved a hell of a lot from when I was a kid. So I guess the goal is always to improve, but is there numbers there? Because it's still a large minority that's doing this. And it's vastly improved from when it was seen at its highest in the early 90s. So my question would be, especially coming from people who lived through a lot of that, who are now acting like, oh my God, these kids where'd this come from? And we lived through what we went through. I'm kind of confused on like, okay, so what's the goal? Because again, from what we came from, this is a huge improvement. Like, it's never been safer. So I don't know if it's just because of the 24-hour news cycle and then the constant social media, and it just seems like this is just the end of the world or whatever. But like, I guess like what would be like a target that people would like to meet to where they would be comfortable? Because as was said earlier, it's never going to be eradicated. But what's a number where people will be like, okay, we cool?
I think it's a little bit different because out here the kids are a little different. Like we had a rhyme and reason for what we did, and when we in the
No,
game.
y'all got to stop that bullshit. Y'all
No,
got
no,
to
no. I'm trying.
stop that
No.
bullshit, bro.
No. It's not. I'm trying to tell you. Like I'm out here with them. I'm looking at it. You haven't seen the team takeover out here, have you?
What
In
do you mean the
DC.
team takeover?
So basically, you'll have 200, 300 kids on the street
Yeah,
robbing.
I never seen that when we was growing up. I never seen like they was doing that shit in Oakland, right? 60 of them running the store. I never seen that. But see, they can send out a message and get everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
I never seen that type of shit
Yeah.
before. See, that messes up the like you're right. The violence though that we experience was
Yeah.
a little bit more siloed, you know, to specific areas. But they taking over malls. That's a
Yeah.
quality of life for people, kids, your wife going to the store. That
Mhm.
changes things, you know. Not to say it's worse, but the difference I think may have a permeating effect in a different way. You know, just based on how they give it up. But I don't know. I like the stats because we always like the stats, Mr. Fantastic. So if we like the stats when they give them to us from the SBI data and they tell us how many niggas getting killed, I like the stats when they give us the statistics and niggas ain't getting killed. I think it's unfair to say I don't like the stats now. We liked them before.
Well, no, it's not about not liking them. It's about them being right and exact. Because
That's
then
what I'm saying. That's what I'm just saying. Like,
if you accept false stats, now you give people credence where you can't trust the stats, and that's a problem. So if people are purposely manipulating the situation and they are finding ways to you know what I'm saying, not report it by technicality, right? And like Tommy said, you can't hide bodies for real, but you know, they aggravated assault with a firearm, you know, different things like that, aggravated assault in general. If you report it in a certain way as to where you don't have to report it to the FBI, data and crime, you feel me? Now you fuck up the numbers because we had a decrease in crime, but it's the same exact thing. I'll pull it up, Hemp, so you can let the dude explain it. I'll find it.
And I was gonna jump in on it when you said that because that's another thing I hate our generation do. Stop romanticizing what we went through. Oh, we had this honorable purpose on why we was doing. No, we did not. Period. Point blank. Niggas was off PCP. You think they was on the honor code? Like, what are we talking? Like, I hate that. Like, oh no, when we moved, we did this, this, and this. Oh, when we moved, there was no women and children. My dude, people were hanging out at 79 Bonnevilles with an AK that had no training and was letting that off. Like, that was our generation of what was going on. So stop this. Oh no, when we was coming up, you know, we had to. No, no, the fuck you didn't. Because if somebody knocked down your homeboy, you weren't thinking about no honor code. It's just not how the way that shit happened. I hate when people try to romanticize shit that, oh, when we came up, you know, we did it, but we did it this way. No, the fuck you didn't.
Yeah, I mean, no, I think people was getting it in how they got it in, right? Remorse goes down when one of the bodies dropped is close to you. So yeah, there isn't a lot of that. I missed that part though. Oh, I walked off for a second. So I
Hey,
missed
Hemp, I
that.
gotta right back.
Yeah, he had jumped in and he was talking about when I said that the violence was down, and I mean, and I'm not surprised because that's typically what, especially like our generation in general, does. Is we're gonna romanticize what we went through and make it seem like it was better or for a purpose, or, and it's like, dog, the streets is the streets. I don't give a fuck if you go back to 1947 or 2025. The streets is the streets. Stop this romanticizing bullshit. Shit
So
happens. It is what it is.
so is it black people or is it the circumstances?
It's America, bro. I say this all over. I say, like, we mirror America in a lot of our actions. If you see the way that the people that we were talking about in these hoods, it mirrors America. You hit one of mine, I hit one of yours. You got something I like, I'm gonna take it. Tell me when I'm stop talking about America. Territories, all the shit.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
You got
100%.
Hell's Angels on motorcycles right now that'll tell you if you're on a motorcycle and you pass them, that's a problem. That actively happens right now in America. So if you're just some guy from the suburbs just trying to enjoy their motorcycle and you pass them without permission, that's a problem that's going to be handled. It's just not splattered on the news. But we talk about it in the bike lanes all the time. It's a common problem that's literally happening all the time in America. But that's not what America wants to plaster on their TVs and show and represent. So you never hear about it. Happens all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, I was I'm just trying to really process it and understand it. And because of social media, the propaganda, right, to the point of what to believe and not to believe what's actually happening. It's like you have to go to the boots on the ground, in situations like this. And so we got two different opinions, right? KG works in security, and he was saying how much this had to happen, right, because of the quality of life for everyday citizens, and it's the kids' behavior regardless of circumstance. And then you got Greg, he does this for a living, and he's saying, the disparity is there in terms of treatment and who they're targeting, and that's a huge issue. I had this right here. So the White House, this is the correspondence via Twitter. Operation Making DC Safe and Beautiful. Multi-agency task force are hitting the streets of Washington, D.C., cleaning up crime and keeping our neighborhoods safe. In just one night, they arrested 37 criminals, seized 11 illegal firearms, issued 4 narcotics charges. So you got him, failure to appear on trial on an assault defense, arrested. You got this brother, possession of a firearm, possession with intent to distribute narcotics, and carrying a pistol without a license. Possession of a firearm, possession with intent to distribute narcotics, and carrying a pistol without a license. Unauthorized use of a vehicle. Possession of a firearm, possession with intent to distribute narcotics, and carrying a pistol without a license. Possession of a firearm, possession with intent to distribute narcotics, and carrying a pistol without a license. Possession of a firearm, possession with intent to distribute narcotics, and carrying a pistol without a license. Carrying a pistol without a license, and that's it for this one. So they are saying in one night they got all these guns and so-called bad people off the streets. This is just a few of the 37 criminals arrested.
Yeah. So
they got a DV case. They got about half dozen dope boys and a car thief and a hitman.
Well, even those, you gotta even know if they dope boys or not, because depending on how much you got is how they gonna charge you. So like out here, like if I go get weed, I get it probably by the ounce, if not by like a half P. But if I got caught with that in certain states, that would be distribution.
Okay, let me show y'all this.
Even
right
if it's just for personal use.
We didn't even get to this part. DC's homeless told go to shelter, get treatment, or go to jail under Trump's orders.
The president's efforts in Washington, D.C., do you have any specifics about how homeless people will be dealt with, where they would be moved to? What does this look like?
I do, yes. And it's an important question, so thank you for raising it. The Metropolitan Police Department, with the support of the new federal agencies who have been surging on the streets of the District of Columbia, are going to enforce the laws that are already on the books here in Washington, D.C. For far too long, these laws have been completely ignored, and the homelessness problem has ravaged the city. So DC Code 22-1307 and DC Municipal Regulation 24-100 give the Metropolitan Police Department the authority to take action when it comes to homeless encampments. So homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services, and if they refuse, they will be susceptible.
Unrelated topic.
To fines or to jail time. Again, these are pre-existing laws that are already on the books. They have not been enforced, which is part of the reason for this federalizing of the National Guard to bring in this assistance for law enforcement. While we are targeting criminals and trying to remove criminals off of the streets, we also want to make DC safe and beautiful, and that involves removing mentally disturbed individuals and homeless encampments as well. So able to find.
Fuck is up with this? Yeah, probably, man. What is this? 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 What
That's bullshit. They got a spit bag over his face.
Yeah, he was obviously he was spitting on motherfuckers. What do we?
National Guard going to be picking up these tents. So homeless tents are all over the city. They're on K Street Tunnel. There are some dotting along the area here. There were more before. Some of them have been cleared out. What about those?
We're working with the marshals and alongside them, alongside Park Police, alongside everybody else. Wherever they need the National Guard to assist, we're happy to be there.
Do you know where the homeless people are going to go?
That's not really my lane. Our job is to stand alongside law enforcement. We'll do that.
National Guard going to be picking up these tents.
Homeless individuals will be given the option to leave their encampment, to be taken to a homeless shelter, to be offered addiction or mental health services. And if they refuse, they will be susceptible to fines or to jail time.
So I've worked in 2 shelters. I worked in a youth shelter and I worked in an adult shelter as a case manager and as a housing navigator. I've also stayed in a shelter. And I want to talk about how when she says that they are going to transport people experiencing homelessness to shelters, otherwise they're going to face fines or be arrested, how being transported to a shelter is actually not a viable option. First of all, there is no way that they have enough beds to house all of these people. How do I know this? Because under ordinary circumstances, when this isn't happening in DC, where it was snowing.
I don't give a fuck about what he's talking about. I think we already kind of know. But, you know, this is a lot of what's happening to those people. There's not going to be enough beds. We know that, right? The reason why they in the street oftentimes is because when they go, there is not a bed, or they get turned away once the beds are full. So people just say, fuck it. And they were living in the tent cities, or they find a place under a bridge and etc. And oftentimes people know that they are there. That's kind of where people go to drop off food and stuff like that. So there's like a bridge in Northeast on H Street, in Noma. And there's a bridge. So I used to drop off stuff there all the time, shit like that. You know what I'm saying? But I guess this is a part of the process. Does this seem fair? Does this make sense?
Like the part that irks me, and I don't know if y'all know about out here, but the homeless thing out here is like, it's some shit I've never seen before. But the biggest part that kind of irks me about it is they kind of created the problem, and now your solution is to treat the people that are results of the problem you created by throwing them in jail. Because in my head, you know, we talk about the what they call it, the dissolution of the middle class all the time. We talk about how the CEO pay numbers that went to this, and then the regular workers pay that only went to this. When you talked about how with this the cost of living and stuff, how much that went up versus how much the actual wages that went up. So this is literally a problem that they created, and now their solution is, because if you listen to her talking, she essentially started smushing in the homeless with the criminals. And I think the dangerous part about putting them in those shelters, if they even had enough beds, is generally those people kind of form their own little community, and that's their safe haven. Now you're going to take them and put them in with a bunch of strangers or possible people that they don't get along with, and put them all under one roof. And how is that going to work out?
Yeah, I mean the dynamics are certainly there. It's real. Is it? Let me ask, do you guys think it's an issue with them living on the street? Because there's not enough housing, right? If they don't like each other, I mean, that's probably inconsequential if you living outside, right? If you don't like each other, so you don't want to stay, you probably do have a mental issue as opposed to sleeping outside when it's dead cold. Finding them doesn't really make sense. They already don't have money. So what is the solution, or is it okay for people to be homeless?
The biggest issue I see out here with our homeless is like the fires. Like they start humongous fires out here. And I'm pretty sure it's from, you know, at night trying to stay warm, they start a fire and then it probably get wild or whatever. But like a lot of times out here, if you drive out like freeway overpasses and stuff, you'll see just and I'm not gonna say like fires like the wildfires, but I'm just saying you'll just see like this big ass thing of black smoke coming from under there, and it's usually like a homeless encampment fire. Um, I think that, and then I think for a lot of people, just visually, the aesthetic of it, they don't necessarily like because again, out here under damn near every single overpass, and I'm not even like being hyperbolic about that. Damn near every overpass out here has a homeless encampment. And then when you go to cities like Frisco and stuff, when you're walking up and down the street, I mean, they got places like in Oakland where they got 2-3 story encampments. I don't even know how the hell they built them shits, but they'll take over the entire street where you can't even walk down it no more. You got to walk across the street to if you needed to go past that point.
No, I got you. It's just that, you know, specifically in DC, they actually actively doing something about it. That's the place need a retort or a solution to something, if it's even an issue in the first place.
Well, I'm not sure if they have those same issues as far as like with the fires and stuff. That's
No,
why I
they
can
don't.
just speak to what
There's
our
no.
homeless. Oh, okay.
Yeah. There's no like fires and stuff like that, right? But it just is a decent amount of homeless people now living there. I haven't seen it be a huge issue in mass. They congregate. So where they were, KG, where they were in that video is next to the courthouse. You know, the homeless shelter is next to the courthouse.
Yeah, I used to work at Second and D.
Yeah, Second and D. So pause just in case. So so right there, Tommy, you see them there because they also stay in proximity to the shelter because you got to get in before all the beds is up too.
Oh, okay.
You know, so in DC, like when you on U Street a little bit, H Street a little bit more than U Street, Connecticut Avenue not really, and these are the touristy kind of places.
Gotcha.
Georgetown pretty limited, Capitol Hill a little bit. You know what I'm saying? I say H Street would be first, then maybe U Street, then maybe Capitol Hill. You know, Navy Yard, not too crazy. I'm just looking at, you know what I mean? Like that population, you're not getting people ask you for money left and right. And I'm saying this from being a DJing all over the city late night and shit. You know what I mean? It's not that bad in my
But they closed all the mental hospitals out here. St. Elizabeth.
St. Elizabeth's
closed. Yeah, so they let them all.
Yeah, so they closed St. Elizabeth. St. Elizabeth is now, this is the other thing that Tommy you mentioned. St. Elizabeth is now apartments, right?
Oh, okay.
And they pretty nice. Now,
gotcha.
DC was given stipends and grants if you turned your, let's say you had 2 doors, one for your downstairs, one for your basement. They were giving people grants and stipends to turn their basements into apartments. Because of the demand for housing in DC, you know, with it being so transient with the government and etc. So I think that falls into this too. They closed up Berry Farms, which was a huge, pretty large housing project. And so where do people go? Most people move out to PG County, Maryland, you know, in Waldorf and such, but then people get stuck in a rut between a rock and a hard place. And what happens? There's already not enough housing. DC also has the ordinance to where you can't build any building higher than a monument. So now that exacerbates the issue too, because you don't got the skyscrapers like you see in New York, because you can't build them that high, you know, because otherwise apartments would be to the ceiling, you know what I mean, or you know, to the clouds. So there's a lot of factors, you know, essentially that play into this. Go ahead.
When I heard about the enforcement, I was in my head, I'm thinking, okay, they might have the same problem we had because it's like insane out here. But if it's not that bad, then that's kind of
well, and it's not about just the numbers, but why the numbers are the way they are. A lot of you're in Cali, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times the people are driven to homelessness just because Cali's so damn expensive to live in.
No, for sure. We actually got people that work 9 to 5s.
It's a highly regulated state. But then the fires, when you said fires, you're like, well, not forest fires. Well, yeah, forest fires also are driving people in.
No. I wouldn't go there. Because, and then I say that because it's not like these people on the street are like all of these displaced people from these fires. Honestly,
no. I'm not saying that either.
Oh, okay.
I'm saying we don't have that at all.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Got you.
You see what I mean? What's driving our homeless population is drugs / crime and mental illness for the most part. And if there's like poverty-driven homelessness, it's so close to drugs / crime. The only way out or in would be through that. And once you're in it, you're going to be affected by it. Whereas in California, there's so many other different reasons, including the housing displacement is a different picture.
Yeah, that makes sense.
You know, and people are going to treat it as such. People are going to build these megalith, right, 3-story encampments that you're talking about. Where over here, they're going to Home Depot. They're going to get a 5-finger discount on an $80 3-man tent and pitch that bitch under a bridge and start getting high.
Gotcha. Yeah, I don't know if they just started. I've heard rumors about other states busting them in here, or a lot of them transient. I don't know how you say that word.
Yeah,
Transient over here because of the benefits. But
Baltimore, look up
it's
Kensington,
nuts.
Philadelphia. You want to exercise? You want a textbook exercise in encampment homelessness and how it relates to like urban crime and poverty? Check out Kensington, Philadelphia. That is poster child for that.
Yeah, the fires. I was saying though those would be results of the encampments, because when they build a fire at night, it ends up getting out of control. But no, I hear you. It's a completely different situation. So yeah, I think that would be handled differently.
Yeah, no, 100%.
But just to break down, like this, the whole totality of why this is all going on is because they building DC up with all these luxury apartments. So in DC, you have something called the IZ program, which is you'll be able to afford these $5,000 apartments, but you got these people working in Congress, living in the same apartments that people from the hood are coming in and only paying like $500, $200, and getting Section 8 vouchers, because you have to allow at least 10% of every building out here has to be have Section 8 vouchers to be able to take it, no matter how much it is.
I will say too, don't be surprised. LA is going to be next, because they got the Olympics, I believe, in a couple of years, and not even just America. Every country that hosts them, they clean their shit up immediately when the Olympics coming. So don't be surprised if you start hearing about LA. They starting to. I think they actually already started, but they about to start doing something about the homeless out here and stuff, and the crime.
But that's the thing. That's what's going on out here. And I'm telling you, it's not because it's the black on black crime. That's not the reason why Trump sent them. Trump sent them out here. It's because white people are starting to get robbed. Congress people who working in Congress, or who lobbyists who living around here, they are getting robbed. That's the only reason they're pressing the issue now. Because this has been going on for years. But now they don't. These kids don't care. They're going after everybody. So it's like. So it's a mixture. So once their own is starting to get hurt, that's when they're coming in and trying to lock shit down.
Yeah, a lot of that was going on in LA too. They was hitting Beverly Hills and Melrose and stuff, and getting people for their watches and stuff. That's why I always chuckle at the fact of, we only do it to each other. I don't know where you from, but that ain't how we go out here.
At a BIP capital. But
know.
man. But it's not just only, but it's mostly, man. And like I said, a lot of these situations you see, niggas got whatever. Even and we didn't even bring up the biggest thing. One of the biggest catalysts for this, the guy, quote unquote, big balls, Pauls, got beat up doing something similar that the black boy did. He intervened in this lady getting carjacked, right? And they beat him the fuck up. They didn't kill him, right? And it's just this thing as to where with niggas it's always, hey, we putting you in the ground. White people, Asian people, Hispanic people, so on and so forth. And I'm pretty sure you guys seen the thing where the guy just got robbed in Chicago, right? They were trying to rob him for his chain. They shot him in his chest. They killed him on live, bro. You feel what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. Whenever it's a black person dealing with white people, it's like this. Niggas not gonna take it ultimately there. They're not gonna go all the way.
No, hold on. Let me stop you there, man. Fantastic. You know what they do? They give it up. You know what you heard that dude on the camera say? Nah. That's a huge difference.
Well, but not even in cases where people do give it up, Tommy, niggas and let them have it, man. So, and that's the problem.
Yeah, I think most of those times, I think it's a personal thing, but for the most part, like most of those guys are out there trying to get your possessions to get out the way. They're not trying to catch your body. So a lot of the times when it does end up there doing it, it's usually a more personal situation. It's not just, oh, I caught a random and he gave me everything. Let me just get one off, just for the hell of it. But in most of those instances, like you said, those other people, they'll willingly, soon as you show your shit, here you go. What else you want?
Oh yeah, you showed
Whereas,
that
like I
video.
said,
Nah, I didn't. I
no,
got
I
it though.
ain't sure.
If you need it.
But if you listen on that video, you literally hear him say, nah. What you saying nah
You talking
to?
about
He
the
got the
Chicago
other
shit?
shit. Yeah, yeah. No, the
Chicago.
Chicago one, where he was sitting in the car with the tug chain.
I got it.
Yeah, that was crazy. And even on that one too, fantastic. They starting to have rumors that his cousin might have set him up. Because the dude that came inside the car, I don't know if you watched it all the way to the end, but towards the end, it's the dude that came inside the car. He came on camera for a quick sec. Supposedly that's his cousin.
Yeah, man, that shit is. But like,
I just say that to say, a lot of these shits when you see them on the news, a lot of that, and I say that just because I've seen that from personal experience. A lot of this shit is a lot deeper than what they report on the news. So on the news, it'll be like I remember seeing a cat from the city. They hit him and it was, he was this college guy. He didn't get, and we all knew what he was into. But if you read the news, you'd have thought some innocent dude got hit and, they just messed with him for no reason. The family came on there and put it on thick. He don't mess with nobody. And we knew what it was. So a lot of times when you hear it on the news, it's going to be reported like that. But I think a lot of the times when they're doing a robbery, like even with Pop Smoke, they said he fought back. What's his name in LA? PMD Rock. He didn't just give it up. Yeah.
I said, listen, bro, if they do come, let us park right here. You feel me? If they do come get me. We'll move the car so they can get the space. We will move our car, whatever car we need so they can get the space, just let us get the park. So now no, we can't do that. No, you just got to find somewhere else to park. Who the fuck is you talking to? You feel me? Like, who the fuck is you talking to for real, even talking like that? Like, that be the shit. And that's what make a motherfucker be wanting to get into it with y'all, because y'all ain't got no respect. What's up, bro? What's up? Hell no.
Yeah, it goes silent for a minute after this, and then you'll start hearing people in the background. But towards the end, you'll see the young dude coming in. Backpack?
No, nobody touched nothing over here. Hey! This is my blood cousin, fuck. I got him. I'm trying to find the key because this bitch a lock and that shit ain't. Huh? And that's why I'm finna see. Phone. Oh, what smoke?
That's about the end of it. Fantastic. Ain't really nothing else to go on after that.
Ain't nothing else.
But everything I say is internet fodder.
How did he get there so fast though?
And that's what everybody was
wait,
saying.
wait,
Not
wait.
only did he get there fast, but just the lack of emotion that your cousin got shot.
Well, niggas get killed all the time though, right? So that's the thing. Like, it's that I'm less flagged by him not having no emotion, but I'm just want to understand how he got there so quick though.
It sounded like they was already there together at an event or a store or something. He's sitting in a parking lot outside or something. And he was talking about the situation. So I don't know if he came there with him because remember he said get us or so on and so forth. So what happened was they tried to rob him and he didn't give it up. They shot him, and then you hear people come outside of whatever establishment they were already in. So I'm pretty sure they were already.
I see it. They heard the gunshot. They come outside.
Yeah, and I don't think he pulled up shit. Like he was already
there. And I agree with you, but it's the difference between niggas getting killed every day and your cousin just got dropped, and I mean, I guess everybody reacts differently, but you showing no signs of sadness, anger, nothing. Like you're worried about his keys, and he's laying on the ground, about to go see Uncle Charles. Like, I mean,
Yeah, no, I just be known. Niggas don't be overreact. I'm telling you, especially if they outside like that, right? I mean, I don't know. I just a few different situations. I just seen people just react pretty calmly.
I've seen people do that with like homeboys. With family, it's usually different. But
Your
I mean,
homeboys be your family out there.
they do be, but family's family. And I say that only because like family is, we was in grandma's house at 2 years old in diapers type. Like it's usually a different type of connection. So I mean, I don't know what their relationship was as far as all of that, but that's what the internet investigators was going at with
Where he get hit at?
the cousin. I didn't hear about where he got hit at.
Oh, in the chest, middle. It said in
Chest.
the
Okay.
chest.
Hey, wait, what was he saying? Did y'all make out what he was saying?
As far as what?
Outside the car or inside the car?
I heard what he said inside the car, but like, was he
Uh,
saying hell? He said hell no.
oh, I heard
Was
him
he
say
saying
hell
I
no.
didn't hear it. Oh, the dude that was robbing. He said, "Get his shit up, nigga." That's what the dude that was trying to rob him said. Give it up, nigga.
no? Did he say hell no to that
I
statement?
don't know. Yeah, I don't know. It was initial, so I don't know if he was saying or whatever. But
I
I
think
think it was.
hell no was him reacting to them running
Yeah,
up with the
exactly. I don't
pistol.
think it was a no. I think hell no was just hell no.
And
Like
I
oh
think they
shit.
opened the door on him too. I don't think I think they opened the door, and that's why his reaction was like to throw his hands up, like, "Oh hell no!"
They smoked him.
Yeah, but what I was saying to you, fantastic, is most of them dudes is like Jack Boy, and I say this because I think with rap, with the movies, with TV shows, they kind of take the street life and squeeze every character in the streets into one character. So you have like a ghost who's like the king, kingpin, but he'll still go out and get a body. He'll still go out and rob. It's like that's not how it works. It's not how it operates. So a lot of the Jack boys aren't necessarily shooters, so they're not wanting to go out and shoot. Now you can occasionally come out with a guy that's a shooter that's jacking, but for most part, if you just a jack boy, you're not trying to shoot nobody. You're just trying to get it off of them. And so when you get people that uh, start to fight back or whatever, then you end up in situations like this a lot of times where a motherfucker just get one off on you and get out
Yeah,
the way.
Tommy, that's
yeah.
not how that works.
Every Jack boy is a potential shooter if you pull in the
Yeah,
burner on
they
somebody.
the ones shooting
No,
people.
absolutely no.
Yeah,
Because if he don't want to shoot you, he ain't gonna shoot you.
No, because him,
yeah.
what he was saying was because when they rob other races, they don't typically shoot them. And I told him a lot of times in those situations where they're shooting, it's a more of a personal situation. It's not just a robbery. And also, when you rob those people, they just give it up. There
That
is
well,
no. They
nah,
just here
nah,
you go.
nah, nah, nah. When people are getting robbed and they resist, that's when you run the risk of getting shot. What was
Yeah.
the actor that there was an actor that got shot outside trying to stop somebody from getting his girl from getting robbed. I think they shot him right in the chest. He was on, I forget what movie he was on. The dude from Cash App got stabbed up and shot.
From Cash App?
I know. Yeah, the guy who I think he created
That was
Cash
that
App or
was
something.
Oh,
that
okay.
that was purposeful though. But
Yeah, I know
that's
another white boy in Philadelphia. They tried to rob him. They shot him and stabbed him because he resisted. The
No,
resist
no, that's my point, man.
Jack boys are shooters. As long as you don't resist, you don't got to find out. Because that's the
I'll be
length you
right
got to
back.
be willing to go. You know. Go ahead. Oh, Aaron said be right back. So this was the setup. Go ahead, Mr. Fantastic.
No, I'm just trying to find another thing to where they and even these kids doing this thing to where bro, these kids pulling guns on each other in this thing to where they setting kids up to come places and then put it on social media how they out here, putting guns in each other's face and shit, man. They did boys did this shit to some little girl. They say she got caught lacking doing something. Here we go. Oh, I got it right here. Again, this is what, and like I said, man, they don't understand. These boys don't have no. If you the ops, bro, you the ops. You know what I mean? It don't matter about your private parts. These little niggas don't care, man. They putting pistols to everybody.
But see, that be my problem, Fantastic. It gets deeper than that because a lot of these little broads is setting niggas the fuck up.
Oh, you're right. That's what I'm saying, Tommy. But the bitches involved just like the niggas. You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Look, they over here cleaning up homeless encampment right now.
I never. I'm sorry, bro. I'm not.
Oh, I saw this.
Say you ain't trolling me no more. I'm gonna tell your get the gun out the video. Get the gun out the video. Say sorry. Say sorry.
So I know that's one of those key issues that's going down in DC. I just say this: if we don't get the extension, we'll get up out of here. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Yo, shit don't go how you think it's gonna go, B. I've seen things escalate as people get comfortable in a situation, man. And I just know there's so many people who live around those areas that ain't doing nothing wrong, but eventually you're gonna get caught up in the sweep. You know, it just I don't know, man. Just looking at some of the different videos when I was looking at Greg page, because I lived on that side, I could see how it could be like make you feel uncomfortable. But I guess that's the point of it, right? But I just don't know if criminals get deterred. Regular people do. I don't know if criminals do though.
No.
They
I
don't.
agree 1,000% though. I think future criminals get deterred and prevented though, Hamp. So if you see niggas get away with shit and you see that's the thing or whatever, the problem is a lack of harsh consequences, harsh, swift, quick consequences. This is why we have an increase in the criminality, because going to jail and shit is cool now. Like you said, motherfuckers playing PS5 and on social media in jail, Hamp, and not just jail, prison, right? So if you glorify this shit and you allow it to be this cool thing or so on and so forth, versus, you know what I'm saying, showing the harsh consequences of this shit swiftly, you're gonna have more people that drift over and want to dip their toe in the water, right? And you
So
know what I'm saying?
last time I checked, L is still for a body, right? That's about the most time that you can give somebody, and they still outside. So I mean, I don't know how much harsh you can. I mean, I guess the more harsh you can get to that is, I guess, actually giving them the needle or the chair.
Yeah, come up out of here. That's that again. You just brought that back too. That's what they need to start doing. Start getting these niggas up out of here.
Yeah, but even with that, I think the problem with that a lot of times is you got district attorneys and stuff that don't get paid about a shit, that half-ass look at your cases, and you're gonna have too many people that's gonna get fried that ain't do shit. Hell,
Yeah.
you had Kamala in the exact same situation where they actually brought up the evidence that showed dude was innocent, and she was still gonna fry, bro. So it is like, I get where you're going with that, Fantastic, but I think, like what they say, one innocent isn't worth, however many you get down. If you look at it that way, that's gonna be a tough one, because the way that our legal system is, you're gonna have some innocents that's gonna get put down.
Yeah, there's gonna be casualties. I guess the argument is the greater good, right? Is the focus. You know, I'm just thinking, would I be bothered and be uncomfortable in my neighborhood if I still lived in DC with this happening?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you would, Hamp. You got little kids. So, Hamp, what you have is little kids and like teenagers too, right? Bro, you don't want your kids being subject to that, being caught up in that shit. You know what I'm saying? Because random fucking teenagers want to just, hey, we gonna wild out and we gonna destroy shit and steal shit and do whatever, right? Let's say your family's out and about, right? Now you're in a compromising position, Hamp, because now what? They run up on yours, you're gonna protect, right? But
Yeah.
now you faced with a fucking assault on a child because, hey man, now you're in a predicament because of, you know what I mean, unruly children breaking the law. And I don't think people really understand just how crazy shit can, because criminals doing criminal shit, even in cases where niggas smoke the person trying to rob them. bro, a lot of it is in DC. Ain't no motherfucking charges not being filed. You got to fight that case. If you're in one of these cities that's not pro gun, right? That's the benefit of being in Florida. That's the benefit of being in Texas. That stand your ground shit saved Rudolph's ass, right? Everywhere else, you know what I'm saying? No,
Yeah, but I mean, everywhere unless it's just super cutting out, you gonna have to fight the case.
No, he's
For the
just
most
saying you
part.
can't even have no burner out there. Like that's
you can't. Yeah,
Oh, okay, I see what you're saying.
In the
Got you.
DCs, in the New Yorks, in the tri-state area places,
yeah,
you even if you are legally found to self-defense, you finna do 10 years for the burner because you don't have proper
how y'all
paperwork.
live in
Yo,
them places. That is insane.
I could not get a gun in DC or Maryland, but I could get one in Texas. You know.
Even like out here,
Hold on, Tommy. Hold on.
Go ahead.
One second. Just 1 second. So, yeah, no, 100%. And I mean, just looking at in the environment, I'm just trying to, and you know how people always think about themselves, right? So our opinion is so subjective. Like I don't really feel uncomfortable, and at the same time, like my wife, like my daughter, just walking to the store is a no go. Know what I'm saying, you know, like just because of the amount of loitering and shit like that, you know. And then somebody say the wrong thing or whatever the case is, then that get handled in a unnecessary way, you know, shit like that. Because there is so much loitering in DC, just standing out in front of the store and stuff. And I never seen them really do nothing crazy. They never said nothing to me crazy, you know. But just to guard against the possibilities, I'm like, nah, I'll go to the store, you know.
Yeah, but you know, like you say, who are you more likely to harass? Who are you more likely to have an issue and problem with? A grown ass man, right, or a teenage girl, or
Yeah.
you know what I'm
A
saying,
woman,
a solitary woman by herself. Yeah, so
yeah.
I think the thing that kind of bothers me the most is just the influence because I got a son. As far as living here, like I got friends that grew up where I grew up at, and they didn't have any of the problems because they stayed out the way. Niggas ain't never got jumped. Niggas ain't never got shot at. Like they lived a very normal life, and I think that's the biggest thing that kind of be getting me with people is the majority of people that live in the hood live a relatively normal life. The stuff that we hear about are the outrageous. It's the stuff that sticks out. But most people in the hood go to work, come back home every day, uh, and feed their kids and stuff. And most kids is going to school and coming back home. I remember when they had the conversation about old boy in Texas, and everybody and their mama was, oh, I would have, bro. If everybody fought the way people say they fought on the internet, then high school would have been a Royal Rumble.
Hey, what? Well, niggas was fighting. That's that. Well, yeah. I mean, so damn, I forgot what I was gonna say. So that's the thing about this, though, right? With them policing, allegedly how they're policing, innocent people get found guilty or at the very least get accosted, or your quality of life is gonna change if the stop and frisk is now a part of how they policing. And I think that's the overarching concern. But again, if we're willing to risk innocent people for the quote unquote greater good, then I guess that's just a part of it. Coach Ferg, what's good?
How y'all doing, man? Can y'all hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, I just been listening in for about the last hour since y'all just guessed up. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing, man?
How's it going?
You know, I'm just listening to the issues and possible solutions. And, you know, this is what I retired from. One of the biggest issues that was always had, and especially working in the public schools in Chicago, didn't have enough men showing up. Didn't have enough men showing up. And as far as the community aspect, it's too late in the community. I was allowed to every year for 8 years, I had to get 60 young men, 9 through 10th graders, who may have had issues with home life, drugs, maybe some delinquency issues, truancy issues, and I was allowed to do groups with them every day. Well, 2 days a week. They were taken out of the core classes, and 15 at a time, depending on their schedule, they would come and we would sit in groups and we went over core values such as what we talk about online: accountability, integrity, positive anger, setting goals, and respect for womanhood, right? And it takes at least 3 months to 6 months sort of for that information to start resonating in their lives, because once they left school, they still had to go out into the community, and not everybody in the community is trying to be better. But what it did, it showed them that they can make better decisions going forward. And I don't think that that's happening enough, especially in America. We try to catch them after school, but most people have already made their decisions on what life they're going to take after they get out of high school. Some go to college, military, some just, want to do nothing and just mosey around in the streets for a while. But once they turn 21, they realize that, life is a little different. And in between that, I would say that teenage years through 21, if they have no structured movement, then it sort of gets chaotic at some point. But again, not enough men show up in the schools, and that's where it's needed. The community, again, is too late. When I first moved down here closer to Kentucky, where I'm from, in Louisville, I went to some of these community centers that I saw probably could need my help. What they've done, they've given 95% of the grants to the churches. And we all know the churches are not doing anything on the community at large. They only focus on their congregation. So I didn't get no motion from any churches. They're like, oh yeah, we'll get back to you. And, and now they still having these town hall meetings about how dangerous it is, because again, this behavior is getting younger and younger. But, there are some laws that could help it, just allowing fathers to be more engaged, putting resources for, young fathers to start being able to have conversations about life with sons, regardless of relationships with mothers. And one more thing, what y'all seeing, it's happened before. In 2008, Chicago put a bid for the Olympics, and they was going around trying to clean up the neighborhoods. And they were full-fledged ahead until they realized they didn't get the Olympics. Then they sort of just got lax on it, and, crime went back up. But since the Olympics are coming here for sure, now that we know, it's going to happen in every part of the country. Every metropolitan city, over 400,000, you're going to start seeing this going around, because the world's eyes will be on America. Tourist attraction. Everybody wants to go to DC when they come here. Everybody wants to go to LA, Florida. So you're going to start seeing it. Especially, you'll probably start seeing it first in the non-sanctuary cities, but you're going to start seeing it cleaned up. I think they already started in California, like Tommy alluded. The homeless, they moving them up. In Kentucky, they moving them around. And so, but again, it's going to take a unified effort. I don't think everybody would be willing to commit, because if it ain't their kid, you hear nothing. So it's going to be a unique time over the next 3 or 4 years to see how we can galvanize. We fight enough about relationships, but to me, it's greater than that. The future's at stake. So I don't know.
Yeah, man. Perfect. Like, share, subscribe, tell a friend and tell a friend, man. Hit that like button right now if you can. That helps the channel the most. I don't know. It's interesting, man. As we continue to talk to people on the ground and trying to figure out what's what, we hear a lot of so-called solutions in real time. We have to see how much they will actually work. They sound good. But a lot of these kids need consistency. So even when I was doing the mentoring, how long, and then the kids go to a different grade and then a different school, and then you lose sight of them. Usually the one-to-ones work the best because you can say the most consistent, but the kids outnumber the mentors. The kids outnumber the teachers, and then the parents are seemingly outnumbered by the kids because it's usually one parent and more than one kid. So I definitely understand it. Even as a coach, I understand it. and then those kids leave, and then what?
Yeah, and Ham, I think you approximately, I want to say a couple weeks ago, you told the story about the one guy, the one kid. You said you guys had him on a good track, right? And football was the only thing keeping him. You know what I'm saying? And then as soon as he got away from it, he got right back into that thing. So, like you said, I think the consistency point is paramount, man. That's a gem with anything, right? Anything in life, consistency is key. So if you have these kids, and that's why I say too, and I know a lot of people like to try. I'm not, and again, I'm not doing this to shit on Black single mothers, but when those are unstable, undisciplined, no order situations that these children live in, no matter how much correction you do, they're going to go back to the source, which is, you know what I'm saying, their home, their influence, their base. So that's what I'm talking about, as to where the home really is the key. No matter how much work we do outside of the home, if that child leaves a structured environment, a healthy environment, and returns back to, all of these things, and in a lot of these cases, things that don't get said, man, listen, they purposely don't want these kids to be better. They purposely don't want these kids getting away from, you know what I'm saying? These kids are attacked for that. What you mean you doing this and you doing that and all these different things, right? And again, there's been people that have told the story about it. So I think until we really start, and that's the importance of this thing, man. No matter how many outreaches and activities and all these different things, bro, it's never going to be able to override the home. It's just not. And that's why we have to talk about the root issue and the root cause.
Yeah, this one thing we got to talk about more. Maybe we'll do it this week. Is fathers are afraid. These situations are difficult, right? I acknowledge that, but fathers are afraid because we don't understand. Right? We are afraid of child support. We are afraid of a lot of things that we think might happen. And fathers are very tiptoey when it comes to these court systems. The fathers that made sure that they had the birth certificates and signed for their rights and knew the kid was there, they got the visitation overwhelmingly. But oftentimes we just take the shit on the chin, very similarly to how do we act in divorce. Because we think we're gonna get it back. We think child support is gonna be imminent. If she doing it anyway, child support and visitation aren't mutually exclusive. Those two things are separate. But I'm gonna tell you, men are afraid to get put on papers and child support and all this. And I'm not disregarding the diabolical nature that Mr. Fantastic brings up about what she willing to say about you. We saw it with the track runner.
Carl Richardson, yeah, Sha'Carri.
I'm willing to say whatever I need to say to get my way. I'm not dismissing that. But I'm telling you, man, trying is lower than what we give it credit for. And the only way this gonna change is with the fathers. In terms of, because like the point of consistency, Mr. Fantastic, it's only so much we can do from the outside in. But if we could supplement what's already being instilled, that's where that kid wins. If I'm trying to do it all myself, it's impossible, right? And I use football. I use sports because that's what I was able to give back at, right? There's a lot of shit you can do. Q Butter with the STEM school, right? But when football season over, if they don't play another sport, I'll see them every day because we lifting weights, right? But he might go with the soft ass basketball coach. No offense to basketball. He might go with the wrestling coach, right? They have different prescriptions than me, right? They don't have progress reports for them, and their goal is different, And so now what? Those are different influences until I get them back for spring ball, right? And if his house isn't mirroring, or we're not mirroring the house, how effective is it? But I think that for the men just talking to us, I think there's a lot of fear behind the system. And I don't think we mean to fearmonger men when we have these conversations, but I think it's a natural maturation, because it's almost painted like we lose no matter what. And I'm not disagreeing with it, but I think it's something we need to assess.
Yeah, I agree 1,000%. I'm saying it's a lose-lose regardless. I think again, there should be far more proactive things than fathers, and I think that's something that we need to start doing as a group, right? Black men specifically, when it comes to fathers' rights and knowing the court system and stuff. But at the same time, Hamp, these niggas, man, listen. Out of all the years I talked about this shit, Hamp, I've had maybe I think 2 brothers that's reached out to me for any type of real advice when it comes to, you know, family court, child support, all these different things. And now you got brothers that literally got whole social media pages and things dedicated to it, right? So I think that's just sheer laziness, not even a fear aspect of it. You know, like you said, it's gonna happen anyway. So hey, just whatever, take the money and do whatever, and so on and so forth. And then, you know, the process, the other part of it though is the difficulty and pushback that a lot of men do get from, you know, trying to be involved in their kids' lives. But at the same time, a number of these niggas, not the majority of them, but a number of these niggas don't give a fuck. They just out here being notorious nutters, and these women having the kids with these, and that's the problem. The women that are out here creating children with fathers who never intended to be fathers are the problem, Hamp, because now, oh, we need you to do some of these kids. And we need you to mentor. We need you to this. We need you to coach. We need you to all this. And to a degree, I understand, right? But if she's gonna keep having kids, Hamp, and like I said, when I talked to King Randall, he even said that. He's like, hey, I'm not taking care of your kids and teaching your kids and doing all this other shit so you can have more kids. You know what I mean? And I'm gonna have to do the same thing for 5 years down the road. And that's why I say it's a very, very deep rooted problem that no one wants to talk about, because the issue comes back to what the issue is.
You know, it's funny that, you know, y'all mentioned the things y'all mentioned in reference to, yes, the home life. However, again, when the earlier you can reach young men, I'll just focus on the young man, the greater the results are. When I learned that, you know, if I wanted, they just based off the numbers, they said in order to have a successful outcome of the clients that you work with, if you have a 20% improvement rating, I'm thinking 20%, that's the same number they were telling me who was going to make it. 1 out of 4 of us was going to make it. So I said, I got to do better. I got to do at least 60 to 80%. And the way I tapped in is, if I got 15 boys, they don't know each other. We sit around, we start talking about these things about life. They start to realize they all have something in common. They all it's sort of like that trauma bonding, but you recognize the traumas, but once you recognize it, you have to be willing to, I guess I used to call it, throw it in the fire. We talk about it, we come up with solutions, you offer me a solution, I offer you solutions based off your issue, and we talk about it over time. And that's why I said it's not like a one conversation, a 2 conversation. Some of these young men are in dire situations, and it may take months, maybe a year or so. So if we can catch them 6th grade through maybe 10th grade, by that time they've gotten over the puberty, they've gotten over the peer pressure, because it's a lot of kids that want to do good, but in our community, what do we call them? We call them lames. We call them busters. So that kid, in order to want to fit in based off the peer pressure, he may deviate and resemble behavior that's not really his true nature. That's why when we see these things happen, they break down when they realize the severity of it. But I think over consistency, and maybe maybe a couple of shows, you take the 50 states and go over these child support laws and how brothers around the country can sort of just navigate through it, because it is sometimes can be a lengthy process, because they don't offer the resources for fathers. They don't, you know, they say they do, but they might give you a pamphlet.
Coach Ferg, here's the other thing, right? That part is less of a conversation, right? And I'm not dismissing it. I like the idea. I'm saying that we get caught up on shit that you can't control. They put numbers into an equation, right? And if you're not the custodial parent, you gonna pay that number. You could have that fucking kid a 1 week on, 1 week off. They gonna put it in the equation, and that's what you subject to, right? Don't conflate. I'm not saying you, but I'm just telling men, don't then conflate that with how much you see in the kid. They don't give a fuck. Those 2 courts are separate. So now that you know you're gonna pay, let's go ahead and build that bridge, right? But now what about seeing my kid because I am paying? That's how you start to leverage shit, that you control what you can control. You know what I'm saying? But I just think that we so afraid of the court. We afraid, and I know we get angry, but we afraid of the police. Motherfuckers hate going to the courthouse for anything. And I think that overwhelmingly plays into a lot of this shit. Why shit just kind of, we let shit slide because of that courthouse. It's the courthouse. It ain't even the courtroom. It's the courthouse that we have a fear of. You know? So I'm just saying, yo, B, don't be scared of that. You're going to do that anyway. But that's the cost of making sure you raise that kid so he don't become a delinquent or a degenerate or he's less than what he should be. Because the dad, the two-parent household is everything. Let's be clear. The two-parent household is everything. You know what I'm saying? So, I don't know, man. It's just chop it up.
I think it's just it's multi-layered. That's why I said the biggest thing that scares me about living in the hood is more the influence on my son than anything else, because um everything that I went through, like, I was influenced. Like, everybody that I grew up with from the sandbox became factors in my hood. So I was just automatically in that. It wasn't no like we was in a playground like on these coming up with these devious plans. That's just kind of what they formed into, and that was my friend. There wasn't no, oh, I think a lot of times people think that a lot of this shit start up with, oh, let me get a group of guys so we can go do this. It's like, nah, we was just partners. And we start getting in, and everything kind of escalated. It went from, okay, we might break the windows on this old factory or whatever for fun or whatever. Then it might go, we might break the windows in the car and get a radio. Then it might go, we might just take the car. Like, it kind of escalates up or whatever. And that's coming from a two-parent household. So even with the father there, you're spending a lot more hours with your friends than you are with your parents a lot of times.
Yeah, no,
And
100%. It's you're right, but it doesn't negate it. It just lets us know that there will be outliers that come from great situations that still fall subject to things that are negative, right? We understand that, but those are going to be the minority, you know, because when we was out doing stuff, and I've been in trouble, but I can at least hear my father, right?
No, for
You
sure.
know,
For sure.
there was so many times. I mean, when I got in trouble at the highest degree, my father's face is what burned in my head. My mom gonna be my mom, right? She fussing and crying, whatever. But my father's face, that disappointment is life changing. You know what I'm saying? As a boy, right?
No,
As
that's
I'm saying,
real.
as a young boy. So I think that that yes, you're right. There's still gonna be issues, but that influence is you can't pay for it if you had all the money in the world,
Yeah, I think going off of what you said, I think that's kind of what a father does do, even if the kid kind of turns off, is it kind of push that conscience in your head. Because I tell people all the time, like, I never ran from the police, I ran from my dad. Because going to juvie wasn't shit. My partners was there. But coming home and getting that ass whooping I was gonna get, I wasn't signing up for that.
Yeah.
So having that, I think that when I look back on my group of friends, that's kind of what separated me from them and why they are where they at right now, where I'm at. So it did make a difference. But I'm just saying, going through the stuff that I went through, I also put a lot of it on luck,
Yeah.
because one thing, and I couldn't be on here talking to y'all right now. So
Yeah, nah, for sure, man. And last thing about the equation, I want to say is they consider her bread too, right? So if we got this average income that's about there the same, right? You can go to a website right now. One of my buddies was head of child support in DC. You can go put the numbers into an equation right now, the same equation that they use right now, and figure out damn near what you're gonna pay if you know around about her income. Right? So get over that part. Now let's fight for the kid. That's the part. Another thing, when you go to court, right? You go to court, they assess the case, right, with a prosecutor, etc. You can even see if you need a lawyer, because they often give a lot of deference to people who are laymen. I forget the proper term when you try to represent yourself.
Pro se.
Pro se. And then they'll be like, "You sure you don't want a lawyer?" And then based on that tone, you be like, oh, shit, maybe I can. Right? Like
Yeah.
you can. It's go ahead, Mr. Fantastic.
Yeah, no, appreciate your help. So listen, man. You're going to be going up against some pretty much fresh out of fucking fresh out of law school, making the bottom of the barrel, $30,000, $40,000 a year person that's swamped with cases because they're dealing with all this other, and they're not versed at all. Okay, when I did my own personal child support case, I whooped the fucking the state representative, and he's fumbling, he's bumbling, he's whatever, he don't even know. I got statutes ready, I got shit highlighted, I'm passing it over, I'm doing any and everything. You can do this yourself, okay? You don't need a lawyer. At the end of the day, again, you know, all these motherfuckers working together. HAMP did a perfect rendition. Make sure y'all go watch that. Listen, your attorney is working with the fucking state and all this other shit. Okay, I never forget this shit. I was in Virginia, and Buddy told me how much money he gave his old lady in child support. I'm like, bro, that's too high, right? That's too high, fam. What are you talking about? Well, no, she was asking for alimony. Whatever. I'm like, nigga, can't you see they just worked the alimony into the child support and you agreed to it? Like, what are we talking about?
They're not listening.
Yeah, man. Please.
And then you could go, like Mr. Fantastic, you can go to the damn, like they have lawyers in the place,
library,
the law library, like they be like, oh, okay, boom, 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 right? Because like he said, they just getting out, they learning too, and they getting paid to be there.
Yeah,
right. There's so much shit that you can do, man. And we just had to have a whole conversation on it, really. You know, we kind of rushing it now, but we just looking at these kids, and now we got martial law, and there's pros and cons to all of this shit. Right. Yeah. Hence pros and cons to all of this shit. And I just fear people who trying to live their life, do what they got to do, are going to be subject to some shit that we ain't playing for. Because when the last time we saw something like this, if ever, right? So we don't even know how to define it. We don't even have no historical data unless I'm mistaken. I could be mistaken to where you can say, okay, this is how it manifested last time. You know,
well, you have something similar with, you know, doing Jim Crow and the slavery. You have something similar, but it was not just the younger folk. It was focused on all of us. So again, there's more information available. I heard somebody on your show one time say they spent 15 bands on trying to fight for their child. Get armed with the information based off your state statutes. Write down your questions and write down things you want to say, you know, in the outline. So when you go to court, you pretty much can, if you can't read it, you can give it to the judge, let them read it, and let the judge make the decision based off what you already know, what you can prove, instead of trying to fight with the attorneys. Because like you said, they go golfing together. They already said they go get the amount of money when they pull up in court. So don't trust the attorney, especially in your state. So just be careful, fellas. Arm yourselves. Fight for your sons, our livelihoods at stake.
Yeah, man.
Appreciate you.
Perfect. All right, man. Salute to the 3 hours and 37 minutes, man. I think I'm gonna be a guest on the show later tonight, so I'll post it. Good convo, really great back and forth, civil discourse, a lot to learn. I'm definitely gonna clip that segment because there's good things Mr. Fantastic said. There's good things Greg said, you know, and I'm saying in particular their back and forth, you know, which I think that we really need to try to understand. One thing that gives me cause for pause, and this is my final thought, so y'all can go after, is the person talking dictates how the chat's going to respond, not the information that the person is sharing. And that just, we assuming what a person is saying. And I think you're doing yourself a disservice. Marcus was here earlier. You know, Marcus that played for UConn and all that good stuff. And he said, good point, Mr. Fantastic. Bad point, Mr. Fantastic. Because see that point, Mr. Fantastic. Oh, good point, Mr. Fantastic. So now he like literally listening, right? Like that's how it should be. You know, so I don't know. If you don't like it, put it on your whiteboard and disprove it. If you can't, adopt it. Aaron, what's your final thought, bro?
Nah,
I think what you said was brilliant, and I'm just going to piggyback off of it. On top of being objective, the root cause of all of our problems is always comes down to the culture. The best thing that we all can do, or the most initial thing, the most immediate thing, the most free and easy thing to do, is change how you represent the culture. Then the culture will change how it represents you. If we all treated each other with decorum, respect, if we held each other in a high regard, held ourselves in a high regard, and that's what you need to do in order to listen to someone as objectively as DJ Hamp is suggesting we do. You have to hold that person in a high regard, or at least approach them with that initial belief that they're to be held in high regard, and let them disprove themselves out of it by their actions, not even by their words. Now, their words should mirror their actions 100%. And that's how you can, take apart someone's modus operandi for them. But you must hold each of us in a high regard. And that's what's missing. We don't care enough about ourselves to even treat each other as if we're worth something. You start doing that shit and the rest will work itself out. But 100%, listen to one another. Listen, indeed. Not assume, listen.
Chat, let us know in the comments, how do you like the fact that we didn't use so much profane language today?
Brother.
It's fantastic. Any final thoughts?
For bringing the brother Greg on. Shout out to brother Greg. And like I said, man, it's a like I say, a healthy disagreement. This is a way we actually learn things, see different perspectives, and improve processes. Eric can tell you this: the engineering process is, hey, a bunch of smart motherfuckers that's like, hey, this not gonna work. It's not gonna work. This will work. Okay, well, why will it work? And then you have actual mathematical equations, physics equations, and things that can prove it or disprove it, right? And then, of course, you have the actual thing in practice where even though it may be perfect mathematically, when you put it in the it can't handle the stress and so on and so forth, right? This is how the process is made. And I hope people start understanding that I'm not just this guy that's just whatever. Like, bro, I actually think a lot of everything I say, I think through. I'm not feeling, I don't have emotions in any of this shit, okay? I'm not a Trumper. I'm not a Republican. I'm not a this. I'm a what? Okay.
Stop the cap. 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 Stop the cap.
If you put a Democratic person in front of me that's a reasonable person, which is impossible to find, but if you listen, and like I said, I agree with Greg on some of his points. So shout out to again that brother for providing an opportunity for us to have a war of the words of such, and philosophies. And I think there can be a lot of good information taken from it, no matter who you agree with, I think.
So wait, hold on, it's fantastic. You're not a Trumper for real?
I'm not. I never been. I told y'all that shit.
Are you sure?
I'm 1,000%, bro.
Boy, no. If you don't,
I don't listen. I just don't. Now listen.
Stop the cap.
I do not. I despise Biden because I know what Biden was. Everything I said about Biden came to be true.
And you're not a Trumper, just to be clear.
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Come on now, dog. Come on, man.
I'm not even Republican. I have no political affiliation. I'm not. What you call it? What you call the motherfuckers in the middle? I'm not an independent. Nothing, bro. I do not have a any type of political party, bro.
No, that makes you independent.
No doubt.
That makes you independent.
No, independent makes you independent. My shit says no political party.
Let me read this real quick. Sean Brewer was popping with the $10. Says, sir, it's not improved. They can set the data how they want to see it fit. They change the name of different charges to fit different situations. Use your eyes. Do you see change to crime rate? John with the $10 says, I got hell over the weekend in lockup. Realized quick that I'm not about that life. I almost went crazy within the first few hours looking at those four walls. KP was goody with the $10 says, Hamp, you know many of the women weaponize the same white man against the brothers they complain about. It's nasty work when they keep the children from an involved father and then petition for mentors. Yeah, it's definitely it's oxymoronic, it's contradictory, and it's selfish as fuck, right? You brought this up.
Shit.
That was Aaron clip for you, Mr. Fantastic. Yeah, that shit is diabolical, B. And again, I'm not disregarding any of that, you know. I just really think, and this will sound like a platitude, but I'm very serious. Control what you can control. You know what I'm saying? It starts with your seed, right? I think that's where it starts. But once you win it, pun intended. Right? I don't care what Mr. Fantastic tell me about the stats. Niggas hate condoms. Okay. So now that we know that shit is hard as shit for us to control for some reason.
The hoes do too. That's the part he didn't tell you.
Okay.
The hoes hate them too.
Niggas and hoes hate condoms. Okay. After minute 46, there's no condom in sight. We know that. All right. So now that we know we can't control that part. Once you get to court, because you're going to court. Go to court, God damn it. And fight for what you already have rights to. See, that's the part. That's the point. Damn, man. Good show. Good show. Tommy, Coach Ferg, anything else?
I think, and it's kind of going to even like what you're saying with the child support. I think we've become a society where everybody lives through other people's traumas. And I think that's the biggest problem. You got guys that hear all of these terrible stories about child support. But the problem with it is you don't know any of the underlying issues that went along with that specific case. You just hear the result and you're acting off that result as if it happened to you. And I think that happens in a lot of these situations where we talking about the men and women situation, where we talking about crime. You just had somebody that said basically something about look around. Does it look like the crime rate is down? It's statistically fact that majority of us ain't dealing with crime, bro. Most of the time we seeing crime, it's through a TV screen. That's statistically true. I quote unquote live in I believe the 9th most dangerous city in America. I don't see crime on a daily basis. I go to work, I come home. But I think we've been conditioned to live through everybody else's trauma or live through everybody else's experience. So when we see all of this shit on social media, on the news, we almost act as if we actually went through it. And then we act in life as if that's something we're going through personally. I think a lot of people need to get out of that.
Yeah. Other people's projection becomes your projection, right? What's up, Coach Ferg?
I just hope to everybody that's listened in, man, take these nuggets, man, apply it to your life. We are modern people, but we are the dumbest people. Take the information, apply it to you. If it don't apply today, put it in your memory bank. Hopefully it may circle around or it may apply to somebody that's close to you. We have to start getting in front of these issues. We've been reacting to them for the last 65 years. The days of welfare and handouts are over. Every man and woman and child are going to have to pull their weight. So get ahead of it, and hopefully you can set your future going forward. If not, the world don't give a damn about your feelings. You're going to be able to keep crying, man. So salute to everybody, man, that want to get out here and do the right thing, man. And I'll say this last thing. Age 12, ladies, when your sons turn 12 and his scrotum sac separate from his body, find Uncle Hamp, Uncle Aaron, Uncle Fantastic, Uncle Tommy, the daddy, whoever, and let that boy go spend some time with him. Let him talk to him. Let him give him something that you can't give them. Some balls, so they can be better, man.
Indeed, man. Indeed. I love y'all. I appreciate y'all. Be safe and do the right thing, man. Like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend. And we out.
Closed-minded folks, you know what I'm saying? It's like we got a demo tape and nobody want to hear, but it's like this, the South got something to say. That's all I got to say.
This that shit to make them all go dummy. Now I got bread, they all want something from me. Showing like pros, man, I told them that it's money, and I own my own bars just like it's always sunny. Ugh, thought she said something to me. We were never friends, told them I am not your buddy. Now they all call, I got some buzz like honey. Then they check the Spotify and they looking at me funny. I don't blame you, dog, that's how this shit goes. Same two paths, we just pick different roads. Glue on the safe, I just stuck to the code. Now they tell me that I'm driven, bro, I already drove. So diverse, got too many flows. Checks coming in, got too many O's. Remember in the past, had too many lows. Now when I look around, got too many bros. Don't like to spend it, I told them I'll save it. Now that I'm here, dog, I seen it, they hate it. I'm making hits like I'm running those bases, and they taking shots, bro, I know that they faded. This, that shit to make them all go dummy. Now I got bread, they all want something from me. Shooting like pros, man, I told them that it's money, and I own my own bars just like it's always sunny. Ugh. Thought she said something to me. We were never friends, told them I am not your buddy. Now they all call, I got some buzz like honey. Then they check the Spotify and they looking at me funny.